Hey now, we are getting over, and I am the Silver King, Adam Silverstein, here to lead you through these hard times. Dada, with your 2026 WWE Royal Rumble Ultimate Preview. That's right, Getting Over is back once again, and we are here not only to break down everything that happened over the last week in WWE, and there is plenty of that for us to discuss, but we are also here to offer you that ultimate preview for the 2026 WWE Royal Rumble, the first premium live event of the year, and of course the kickoff for the road to WrestleMania 42. Vintage Chris Vanini is here, ready to get fully entangled in all things WWE, and we have an absolutely loaded show, as we always do. Not only will we have the ultimate preview at the end of the episode, the main event, the good, the bad, and the ugly, both of those are ahead. We're actually going to kick things off with a brief second look at WWE Saturday night's main event. Now, we already have an instant analysis podcast from that waiting for you in our feed. If for some reason you have not listened, you might want to pause this show, go listen to that first, and then, of course, continue on with this Royal Rumble Ultimate Preview. But we do want to make sure you are caught up, which is why I wanted to mention it at the start. Taking a second look back at Saturday night's main event, I watched this Monday while preparing for this episode. I'm going to say this off the top. I let Vintage's pessimism and my creative disagreement with that number one contendership affect my overall show grade. Outside of John Cena's last match, this was the best Saturday night's main event since the concept got brought back to WWE. I'm saying start to finish, match to match, segment to segment. Yes, others had more pomp and circumstance, more nostalgia. There were other great moments, as Chris mentioned this past weekend, Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes, that match and everything that went into it. But top to bottom, for a 4-segment card, everything delivered. This is what Saturday night's main event should be. WWE does not need to make it a light premium live event. It should not be a TV show on steroids. It should be its own thing. And 4 segments, all decent sized matches in terms of length that matter to the product. It's okay to have a title or two on the line. You don't need to have 4 title matches. This was what Saturday night's main event should be. Something that is meaningful, appropriate, and it affects the product both in terms of television and whatever the forthcoming premium live event is. Certainly we want a greater length of time between the SNME and the PLE. 7 days is not great. Other than that, they knocked this out of the park. I'm adjusting my grade. You would think that based on what I just said, it would be some huge adjustment. Oh my God, he's going to give it a 95. No. I'm adjusting it 1 point to a 91. But the reason I'm doing that is this was not a borderline show. This was a low A. This 91 is an A- tier show. It is how I felt watching it back coming out of Saturday night's main event.
Yeah, I remember when we talked about it, I was surprised how negative you were about the main event, given you had talked about how much you liked the show.
Yeah.
So I was trying to square the two. I haven't gone back and watched it. I've been busy with other things and unfreezing the house. But I think your point there that it's not a pay-per-view, it doesn't need to be booked or presented as a pay-per-view, is fine and good in how it probably should be. I'm just not going to grade it like that because you have to pay for Peacock to get this thing.
Well,
they build it like a pay-per-view. And so, yeah, I'm sticking with the grade I had. I think it was on the lower end of what a typical pay-per-view is.
You don't need to pay for Peacock if you go to nordvpn.com/getting over, and you can watch it for free on YouTube, and the quality is just the same. And if you go to Albania, if you use Albania as your country, you can also get the commercial-free show as well for Saturday night's main event. But to your point, yes, you do have to pay for Peacock if you're in the United States and you're going the traditional route. And it is premium. It's more premium than SmackDown, right? Which is just on your cable. But I felt they treated it that way. They had 4 things that mattered to a significant degree, all quite different from each other. And even more than that, I was entertained from start to finish. You mentioned, and I did not want to gloss over, the weather conditions that you're dealing with. And we're going to go match by match really quick, just some quick hitters for all 4 of these. But before I forget, how are you dealing with the weather over there in Texas? Because I got to tell you, yes, it is, 59 degrees right now as I say this in Florida, but it was 80 yesterday. And it's not something I love. I've said this on the show before. I don't like living in a always warm weather climate. But I also don't envy what you're going through right now.
Yeah, right before we started recording, I had to scrape all the ice off of our car so my wife could take it out somewhere for the first time in 5 days. We've been just staying in the house, and the roads are still not great. Everything's still ice. It's supposed to melt. It's supposed to get above freezing and start melting later today, but still cold.
You know
but
what?
I got the power and everything, so we're good.
You know what, dude? I hate ice. It's dangerous. It's frequently unnecessary. And people get hurt because of ice. I would say F ice, with the exception of in a drink or possibly at a cooler. Other than that, F ice is what I say.
I pulled out my hockey skates and literally my stick and my gloves and played a little hockey by myself in the backyard yesterday. That's how frozen over everything is here too.
Indeed. All right, match by match here for Saturday night's main event. Cody Rhodes and Jacob Fatu obviously was not a match, but as we mentioned, the brawl got a lot of time. I don't really have an additional takeaway other than the fact that McIntyre interfering here and also kind of goading Cody by putting his 8x10 on his bus, which we'll talk about later in the show. It's just weird that he's like still obsessed with him and this whole deal with Cody and Jacob. He won the title. He ran away scot-free. You know, Jacob did kind of go after him on SmackDown, but like, I don't know that he needed to interfere at the end of this, but again, it was really exciting.
Little thing from me on that. He put the picture on the window from the inside of the window.
Right. Yeah, he went in again. Yeah.
That means he opened the door and stuff like that. Cody, you got to lock your bus.
That's the third time he's gone into that bus, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, like lock the freaking door or tell your driver to do it. What's he doing? Is this guy napping on the job? Like, is he in catering, stuffing his face? What's this driver doing? Randy Orton, Trick Williams, Damian Priest, Sami Zayn, #1 contendership. Priest was the only one of the four introduced here to get zero reaction. That's not good, especially coming off the unnecessary win over Aleister Black in the ambulance match that shouldn't have even happened. I'm not going to be surprised, by the way, if we get Orton and Trick at WrestleMania. I could see them costing each other in the Royal Rumble and winding up fighting on that show. It seems like something that might happen. Similarly sized guys, the old guard and the new guard, a big moment for Trick, who is going to be a major WWE superstar. I went 4 stars A- on first watch. I'm downgrading 3.75 stars B+. I did not love the finish. And while the guys largely did quality work, this just didn't ring as special to me. It also should not have main evented the show, given the quality of the match that preceded it. I know it was the big moment and Sammy going over. I understand in terms of quality, it was nowhere close to the best thing on the show. In fact, it was the worst match and segment on the show.
Yeah, but that's how pro wrestling has always worked.
I'm just saying.
It's often that the best match is not the match at the end. So,
but it was the worst. But it was the worst.
The #1 contender match. It's by far the most important match to the stakes of the show, and it's got the hometown guy who's winning. Yes, it should have main evented. It's the poster.
It was the worst thing on the show, though. I'm just saying. I'm not saying it was bad. I'm just saying of the four, if I was grading the four things, it was the worst. That's all. AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura. I felt I nailed the grading of this live at 4.5 stars A. Excuse me. If this was run 8 years ago, it's an easy A+ because there would have been stakes on the line, a longer term story, a stadium crowd. But these guys did themselves, their careers, and their rivalry proud. It was such a treat to get this out of nowhere, 24 hours notice. It delivered and it stole the show.
Yeah, I mean, everybody knows my feelings on it. Again, I thought it was really good. I liked the fist touching thing at the end. Great nostalgia. Good solid match. But that's what it was. It wasn't AJ Styles, John Cena type of stuff.
No.
And didn't have stakes of a title being on the line or anything. So
right, it didn't have the platform, the stakes. I mean, Montreal's a great crowd, but it's not a stadium crowd in France or not. Excuse me, they didn't fight in France. Where the hell did they fight? Cena and AJ? Australia, right? We wanted them to fight in France, right?
Which, by the way, remember how that match happened? It was just John Cena and Triple H announcing it on Twitter, and then this match got announced like the day before the show or whatever. Just like
It's so funny you say that. I have a comparison to make between that match, Styles and Cena, and then Styles and Nakamura, and then what happened Monday night.
Imagine if they wanted to do any real stories around AJ Styles longer than a week.
Right. No, you're right. And then lastly, Women's Tag Team Championship, Io Sky and Rhea Ripley successfully defending over Liv Morgan and Roxanne Perez. While I don't automatically downgrade a match for a distraction or interference finish, that normally happens naturally because it ruins the flow of the bout or it creates some unsavory outcome. The interference here did affect the match, yet it was not only inventive, it was done in a way that didn't really impact the result. One could argue it got the crowd even hotter for the finish we ultimately got while simultaneously progressing the Raquel Rodriguez and Stephanie Vaquer story. I'm still at 4 stars, A- here. I don't fault anyone for going a little bit higher than that, but I can't put this so close to Styles and Nakamura, which I just thought was superior.
Fair enough. I think I would, I didn't grade it nearly as much.
You don't really grade them.
Yeah.
That's fine. And so that's it. Quick hitters for the WWE Saturday Night's main event second look. As I mentioned, we still have a lot of show left, but I do need to get into a reminder that this program
is all about Defiance.
So please, folks,
stop being marks for yourselves and go back to being a mark for me.
Go back to being marks for the Silver King Vintage and Getting Over. Head over to Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Leave a 5-star rating on Apple. Take a little extra time. Leave a 5-star written review. If you do, we will read it live right here on the show. Also, do not forget to follow us on social media at Getting Overcast. On Twitter and Blue Sky, you get episode drops, news, analysis, highlights. You can send in questions and comments for the show. And this week, just like last week, you can vote in pre- and post-show polls surrounding the Royal Rumble. We will take your grades and we will infuse them into our instant analysis podcast coming out Saturday as soon as the Royal Rumble goes off the air. So make sure to follow us at Getting Overcast and subscribe with the exact same handle on YouTube. You can listen to our podcast episodes and watch full-length video interviews there as well, everywhere on social media at Getting Overcast. Now, as I mentioned, the main event, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and your WWE Royal Rumble Ultimate Preview, all of that is still coming up.
But I'm afraid I've got some news.
And really, this is just a one news item segment because I'm not going to talk about the WWE 2K26 cover and people being angry that Triple H is on a deluxe edition of it. That do people even buy physical video games anymore? It's a poster. Like, why are you getting so upset about this? I'm not talking about all those video game covers and the special things they're doing with 2K, although we hope that they sponsor a future edition of the show and we can give away some free copies this year as we did in years prior. The main item I want to discuss, Chris, is the location of the Royal Rumble, as the event is going to be held in what just 3 weeks ago was an empty lot located in Riyadh that was converted into a 30,000 seat venue by means of modular scaffolding. As if it was not obvious, I have many thoughts about this. First of all, when it comes to the practice and procedure of doing modular scaffolding, let's be clear, this is not unheard of. In fact, it's quite common for the Florida-Georgia football game in Jacksonville every fall, the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. And I don't know if they still do this, but for years, they would build thousands of seats out of modular scaffolding in the week or two leading up to the game. I even sat in them one time. It was okay, except the game I attended was really windy. And yeah, I got nervous sometimes that things were getting a little out of control during a rivalry game. People were shaking and it was moving around. Point being, this is like 20 years later. The modular products have improved. And while I have no problem, as you all know, criticizing Saudi Arabia up and down on this show, I'm not going to sit here and act like this is unforeseen. These are built for golf tournaments, F1 races. Now, generally, they are not entire four-sided venues from the ground up, but the concept is the same. I'm much more concerned about the conditions for the people who built it than the quality of this structure, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, temporary seating is a normal thing. What I can't figure out is why they're doing this.
Right.
Like, they already have a stadium there in Riyadh. I believe it's the indoor one.
They have multiple venues.
Yeah, they've done it in Riyadh. They've done it in Jeddah. Like, it's outdoors this time, and it wasn't prior.
Right.
I don't understand the need to do that. Like, is it that 30,000 seats is like not that much more? Also, it doesn't matter to WWE. Like, the tickets are already bought and whatever by the government. This is literally just to get some more people into the stadium. I'm surprised they're going through the effort.
I don't know if they're still doing the government buys all the tickets thing. It seems like they put them on sale. Maybe it's just at inexpensive prices, or the government buys some and then opens up the rest to, the locals. Yeah. But that's what I'm talking about. It's not so much the concept of doing this that is problematic. It's more everything around it, the aesthetics too. It looks like what ChatGPT would create if you asked it to conceptualize a football stadium for the XFL. Like
it looks like a Rector set.
Right. Yes, it does. There's nothing visually attractive about the structure. And it floors me that the Saudis spent $50 million, maybe even a bonus payment on top of that, to get the Royal Rumble, knowing it would need to host the show during a time in which its other venues were full. There's so many venues in this country. And it floors me that WWE had no problem putting its second biggest show of the year in a makeshift structure as opposed to a $1 billion stadium, which is where it was last year. I have no idea how this is going to look on screen. I presume they're going to heavily utilize screens and LEDs to make it feel like a real stadium. We posted on social media a render of what the stadium was supposed to look like upon completion. There's, 5 days left, I believe. If it somehow gets there, okay, it might look nice. Like maybe they just haven't put the exterior panels on that they're going to use to make it look like a real stadium or something.
Yeah.
But
so
based on what we've seen, based on the taping of this episode of the taping of this episode, I just don't feel really positive about the visuals and aesthetics going into the show.
So they have King Fahd Sports City Stadium, which hosted Crown Jewel in 2019. That is a full-on soccer stadium that hosts 50 to 70,000 people. Maybe that's full. I don't know, because it's soccer season. They also have Kingdom Arena, which seats 30,000.
Exactly.
Which is where Night of Champions was. So
they're full, is my understanding.
They're booked, basically?
Heard. Yeah, they're booked. Yeah. Which is, again, why this Royal Rumble, and then why in that city when you have other cities with other venues? Jeddah, to the point that you made. Are they all full?
We don't have to answer that. And as we know, the reporting around what goes on in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is not exactly, there.
Yeah.
But that was my question, was why are we doing this? But
exactly.
Maybe if you have the ability to build a 30,000 seat stadium on a whim in a couple of weeks because of, what your government is.
Yeah.
Okay. I just hope everybody, building that thing was compensated properly.
Right. And like, I have no doubt it's going to be with a major city in the background. So the external visuals, when they show that, I'm sure it's going to be beautiful, right?
Oh, that might be a reason to do it then.
But still, you're sacrificing everything else, like the stadium setup. You know what I mean? The benefits that you have with going into a venue that is already set up. Audio, in addition to the visual and lights and speakers and seating and concessions and all these things. So I just don't get it. This is not Backlash. This is the Royal Rumble. This is a major event. It is WWE's second biggest event of the year. They're going to tell you it's SummerSlam. It's not. It's the Royal Rumble every year. Mm-hmm. And this is where they're holding it. We'll have to see what it looks like on Saturday. Maybe we'll get a sneak peek. I could see them doing some type of reveal, like not necessarily a WrestleMania set reveal, but something akin to that. Maybe on Friday during the kickoff. It's going to be interesting, but yes, Saturday. And by the way, it's going to be Saturday afternoon here, of course, as you all know, in the United States. So we'll be looking at evening visuals here, afternoon, morning for those of you on the East Coast. In an utter shocker, just moving over to WWE TV this week, I felt Toronto kind of outdid Montreal in terms of crowd work. Obviously, both were great across SmackDown and Raw. The shows were solid too. Nothing I felt like I needed to dig into that much in the opening, outside of the standard complaints about SmackDown and the women's division specifically. What I did want to call out was that doofus holding up two huge fatheads of his children during Raw. Bro, everyone hates you. And everyone hates your kids' faces. Fans, if you're attending shows, stop doing this. Bring your poster if you want. Hold it up once in a while. Have some damn respect for the people around you and the people at home too. Like, holy crap. Don't bring these things that are blocking people's view, and you know it's happening, and distracting the fans at home from watching a product that they are trying to enjoy. Stop being so freaking selfish. Bring your signs. Leave the fatheads at home. And lastly, I just wanted to point out, WWE had more than 15,000 people braving the snow in Toronto to attend that show on Monday. There's no question ticket sales are slowing down in certain markets. It was impossible for WWE to stay at its peak, especially given its prices. But they sold out this venue for a regular Raw not even advertising the main event we actually got. That is pretty damn ridiculous.
That's good. Love the people in Canada. It's been nice that it feels like WWE has gone back there a lot more in the last few years. You get really good crowds, and it's not too far. It's not, crossing an ocean or stuff like that. So it's been nice to see.
The timing was interesting, doing it here after they were doing a European tour ahead of the Saudi show.
Yeah.
I was curious.
I was
as
confused.
To why.
I was thinking about it on a map. I was like, wait, shouldn't you go Canada to Europe to Saudi?
Right. Or Canada as soon as you come back, potentially.
Yeah.
It was just a little odd. But anyway, that wraps up the news of the week in the world of WWE. And it gives me an opportunity to remind you that here at Getting Over,
I happen to love the number 5.
I sure hope you do as well. For $5 a month or $50 for the entire year, you can become an official Getting Overhead. Just visit buymeacoffee.com/gettingover. Sign up. You'll get bonus audio, the fastest 5 minutes in professional wrestling, instant reactions to every major TV show, and exclusive news analysis posts every week. We have 2 new subscribers over the last, let's call it 8 to 10 days. Lashley V and Andrew W. both signed up for monthly subscriptions. Didn't leave messages or have any comments for us to add. So Lashley and Andrew, we acknowledge you.
Acknowledge.
Big acknowledgement right there.
Acknowledge.
Again, buymeacoffee.com/gettingover. You can also find that link in our link tree posted on our social media accounts at Getting Overcast. Not only is it the, buy me a coffee link that you can get all of our social media, our YouTube, you can also have a WWE shop link. It gives us a 10% kickback on any type of merchandise you buy. It's the same price to you. You can still use your coupon codes. It gives us a discount. And there is a link in that link tree to a brand new Getting Over Slack channel. The community is growing by the day. I think during Raw on Monday night, there was more conversation than there had been in the history of the Slack channel combined to this point. It's only existed for a couple of weeks. But everyone is getting together and knowing each other, talking about the show. They're talking about WWE, AEW, news, everything. Make sure you join our Slack channel. Again, the invite link is in our link tree on our social media profiles at Getting Overcast. All right, a lot of show left. As mentioned, the WWE Royal Rumble Ultimate Preview is still to come, and there are timestamps in the episode description if you happen to be listening Friday or Saturday and you want to jump over to that. But we have a ton to get to on this episode, and we're going to kick it off, as we always do, the review of SmackDown and Raw from the week by sliding into the main event.
This is the main event.
We have an extended 2-part main event this week, both of them from Monday Night Raw. AJ Styles opened Raw, soaking in the adulation of the crowd, saying he's not going anywhere despite Gunther wanting to retire him. He reiterated that 2026 will be his last year, but said John Cena showed him that he can make an entire year out of it. Styles said he wants to be world champion once more, and while Gunther is great, he's not phenomenal. Enter CM Punk, questioning Styles' decision for raising the stakes so high so early in the year. Styles wondered if Punk just didn't believe he could get the job done, to which Punk clarified he was only reacting to what happened on Raw, saying it would be a shame if they never fought one-on-one in a WWE ring. They did a whole wink and nod thing, acting as if one another were offended by their respective remarks. Styles suggested if they did fight and he won after beating Gunther, he should be number 1 contender for the title. I don't think you need to beat Gunther. You just need to beat Punk to become a number 1 contender. Punk said it would make no sense to fight if the title was not on the line. So boom, out of absolutely nowhere, a World Heavyweight Championship dream match in the main event of Raw. And if you needed any further indication that Styles was indeed retiring on Saturday, again, unless WWE is pulling an all-time swerve of swerves, it was this segment. The exact type of, well, let's just fight then deal that Cena got multiple times during his retirement run, as you mentioned earlier, creating a sudden Raw main event that marked the first time Punk and Styles fought one-on-one in over 21 years. Punk beat Styles for the IWA Mid-South Heavyweight Championship back in 2004, and Styles beat Punk for the ROH Pure title the exact same year. I digress. This segment was not going to win any awards. The guys were out there both figuring out how to make this challenge logical. In that way, it was kind of fun to see them kind of improving, just how can we make this make sense? Meanwhile, I'm sitting here foaming at the mouth, wanting WWE to shock us and flip the title, even though there was no legitimate chance of that happening. Hell of a hook to close the first live Raw, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern, unopposed to football. since August. A legitimate WWE dream match between Punk and Styles. The segment was fun, tongue-in-cheek a little bit. It was awesome.
AJ Styles, he's a SmackDown superstar, I believe, right?
He's a Raw superstar.
Is he Raw?
Yes.
Or is he on SmackDown? He's been popping up on both, and it's been confusing.
He showed up on SmackDown one time on Friday out of invitation from Nick Aldis that was explained as a segment. There's zero problem as long as they explain it. He's been a Raw superstar for like 2 years.
I kept going back and forth on this, on trying to figure out what's going to happen to AJ Styles. Like Punk being like, why would you retire now? There's so many other guys you want to or no, it was commentary, I think later said like AJ has said there's so many people he still wants to wrestle. And I'm like, yeah, like why would he want to retire now? But then if you're running Punk Styles now, which they announced that they would do, I'm like, well, then maybe they are just trying to squeeze it in before the Rumble.
48 hours after Styles and Nakamura. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, and maybe he'll do some other one on SmackDown last minute just to like squeeze it all in. And like the more they do these, the Nakamura, the Punk one, the more it feels like he is going to retire.
Indeed. So Finn Balor later confronted Punk backstage saying even though he didn't win, it was still the most memorable night of his career. It was the most memorable night of your career? I know it was in Belfast, but you won the Universal Championship. You won the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. You won the NXT Championship. You've had way better matches in your career in WWE and NXT. And that was the most memorable night of your career, losing 2 hours from your hometown? Okay. Anyway, he was angry at himself for not returning the flowers that Punk gave him in Belfast, so Punk gave them right back, calling Balor one of the best in the world. He told Balor to think about his legacy and how he wants to be known, including whether he should still be in the Judgment Day, hanging around pieces of shit like Dominic Mysterio. Balor later tried to enter the Rumble, but Adam Pearce told him the slots are full, and he should have asked a week ago, but he already got a world title match, so he has nothing to complain about. Liv Morgan then confronted Balor outside of the clubhouse, tearing him down for being goody-goody with Punk. She said Judgment Day is his family. They actually want him to be world champion. Punk does not. He shot back at her that this is not a simple situation. He needs time to figure everything out. Now, I'm going to be straightforward here with my take because it's how I felt when these segments were over as opposed to when Raw ended. We always kind of give you our opinions and our thoughts as the show is progressing live. So after this segment with Liv, I figured, well, okay, Finn Dominic for the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania, that's where we're headed. I mentioned that a long time ago. It's a built-in storyline from last year's WrestleMania. Beyond that, Balor coming out of this not only seemed to have a semblance of momentum for the first time since the Edge feud, but it seemed like his babyface turn was off and running. They tied in last week's match. They focused on respect rather than face-heel alignment. The crowd cheered for him twice when they saw him on screen. It just worked. Then you have Balor getting held out of the Rumble. Not sure I've seen that happen before without malice. So that was unique on its own. And then Morgan didn't hold back at all, going right at him for flashing some babyface tendencies. She is such a freaking manipulator. Like the Jersey girl in her coming out in full force. My heavens. We spoke for a while about how Balor needed to go face when Judgment Day split, and we wondered whether fans would buy it. After this segment, I was saying to myself, hell yeah, they're going to buy it. Look how they responded to him back to back. Look at the way he spoke with CM Punk and Punk put him over, and look at how heel Morgan was going face to face with Balor.
I agree on that front. And yeah, I can't remember the last time if I've ever heard, sorry, the Rumble is full. You know? Like, if it's full, then why haven't they announced all the names or whatever? I don't know. I've never heard that.
Right.
I kind of like you went back and forth on this. Like, okay, like they're doing something here. I'm not sure if this is just a Judgment Day thing or what, but I was intrigued.
So we moved to the World Heavyweight Championship. Punk defending against Styles in the main event. AJ wore his powder blue gear, a classic look that also reminded of the fake retirement from 2024.
I got a lot left in the tank.
Punk hit a Shining Wizard somewhat out of nowhere, but Styles stopped, go to sleep cold, countered into a Ushigoroshi. Punk landed an elbow drop and locked in the Anaconda Vice, but it got broken. Punk avoided both a calf crusher and a Styles clash, only to catch Styles on the apron for a GTS ringside for a 9.5 break. AJ caught the champion coming back with a roll-up, moved into a Styles clash for a 2.9 false finish. Punk tugged the ropes to stop Phenomenal Forearm, only to take a Pele kick. Both tried and failed to land their finishers again when suddenly Balor attacked from out of the crowd, forcing a no contest and focusing on Punk. He hit 2 shotgun dropkicks into the barricade and landed not 1, not 2, but 3 coups de grace, standing tall in the main event that included Styles and Punk to end Raw. So I have 2 completely conflicting takes when this ended.
Oh! Yes! I love that!
And
well, that was a great matchup, but the ending sucked.
the first, obviously, because we not only got this dream match that we wanted, but somehow my guy Balor was standing tall at the end of a Raw featuring Punk and Styles on the road to WrestleMania in front of 15,000 fans. I mean, that is a big deal. And it's a massive silver lining given the way the match ended. The second drop, though, because while it was transparent that this would finish in a no contest, I figured due to Gunther or maybe even the Vision, Balor immediately turning back around, like tripling down on being a heel, was pretty disheartening. It felt like the rug got pulled out from under me. Purposefully, of course. That's why WWE did it. It's obvious in kayfabe that Liv sunk her claws into him, and she can ultimately be blamed in the future for flipping Finn back. Perhaps that will lead to Balor sticking with them until a split happens in March. You don't need to split them now. You just need to split them before WrestleMania. But there will be time, if that happens, to turn the crowd back towards him in 5 to 6 weeks, recalling this, so on and so forth. Still, despite that being disheartening, him going back heel after it really looked like he was going to go face, the work between Punk and Styles was great. I saw people criticizing the pace. They were selling exhaustion. They were working. It would have been awesome to see this all the way through, or at least get 5 to 6 more minutes, really amp up the finish before doing the attack. But when you have one guy retiring and another guy who has done extremely well as champion, and neither of them can lose, you're kind of handcuffed with your options. I went 4 stars, A- for the match. Would have gone higher with more time or a real finish. It was still awesome to see. And again, silver lining, I didn't love that Balor was heel here, and I didn't love the way the match ended. But you had Balor standing tall, solo, in the ring, main event of Raw, 15,000 people with Punk and Styles on the road to WrestleMania. How can I not like that?
I got a couple things here. First off, I want to give a hey now to Lillian Garcia on the ring entrance.
Gonna look good, but she's got me saying, hey now!
Well, I mean, that automatically triggers.
It does.
Hey Now championship on the line. Liv Morgan and Roxanne Perez coming out the way they did on Raw a couple weeks ago. Lillian Garcia, by the way, filling in for Alicia Taylor, who I believe got stuck wherever she lives, I think Orlando, due to the snow and ice and everything going on. Lillian Garcia filling in and being a great voice for this main event, calling the ring announce for AJ Styles and CM Punk. Chris, that puts them head to head for the Hey Now championship. You are propositioning it. What's your call?
I'm gonna stick with Liv and Roxanne, but very strong effort from Lillian, respectfully, of course.
Respectful effort from Lillian, just very similar, red dress to Blake Monroe on NXT last week. That is 3 title defenses for Liv and Roxy so far already in 2026. Our inaugural champions seem to be carrying through the month. But Vintage, let's continue with your take on Punk, Styles, and Balor.
I thought this was a really good match. I enjoyed this more than AJ Nakamura.
Wow.
And it's not necessarily that it was a better wrestled match, but there was more just like juice to it.
Okay.
Because there was a title on the line. The crowd was more into it. CM Punk's a bigger deal right now than Nakamura is, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just like naturally drawn into this a bit more. I had a lot of fun with this. Thought this was really good. Like you, I expected a Gunther interference or something to end it. So when it was Finn, I was like, oh, that's interesting and that's different. Also, before that, Punk's kick out on the Styles Clash, perfect.
Yep.
They actually got me for a split second there. I was like, AJ, like for a split second, I thought AJ may be about to win it. In hindsight, obviously, it wasn't going to happen, but that's the value of a good kick out. That's the difference between a 2.9 and a 2.99. Like that little bit. I thought that was a great kick out by Punk.
I'll add also, just really quick, he did the roll up before it and got like a 2.8 on that. So the consecutive near falls and almost beating him, then hitting a finisher and almost beating him again. It was just perfect the way they did that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, very good done. Very well done. And so Finn interferes, and I was like, oh, interesting. And I know you're disappointed in the idea of him floating back to a heel or whatever. Mm-hmm. I just looked at it as like, he's now in a storyline with the world champion, CM Punk.
Yes.
And we're not going to predict him to win the belt from CM Punk.
No, we are not.
But Finn is back doing stuff at the top of the card, which to me is still ultimately a very good thing, even if it was a bit of an up and down way to get there. 2026, like, we've gotten a lot of Finn Balor in a lot of big spots.
When we were doing our New Year's resolutions at the turn of the year for 2026, and obviously I nailed mine on Io Sky last year, I had on my list Finn Balor, and it was going to be exactly what I said about Io, but about Finn. And I crossed it off. Why? Because, Chris, as we have said many times on the show before, they've beaten me down. I have no belief or trust that Balor will ever be a extended main eventer or win a world championship again in WWE. There was a long time where I believed it could happen. I don't believe it will anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They're effing with my emotions here. Okay.
Yeah.
I know it's not going to happen still, but they're effing with me.
And there was an interesting line right at the very end. Cole says, basically, Finn Balor, what do you want your legacy to be?
Mm-hmm.
And that was so like direct, but also like summing up Finn Balor, which is like, maybe Finn's, nearing the end of his career too. And this is going to be his last turn at the top of the card and his last chance to finish off his legacy in WWE. So I thought that was a very apropos line by Cole that just kind of said the thing we're all thinking. He said it in kayfabe, but it also hits all of us who talk about the idea of Finn Balor as a whole.
Well, he also mimicked Punk, who said that earlier in the show too. Like Punk was saying to Balor, he's
true.
like, what do you want your legacy to be? Like that you're a minion for the Judgment Day and palling around with Dominic, or that you're one of the best in the world, which I know you can be, which we as fans know he can be. I don't think, and I think you agree that he's not going to win this title before WrestleMania, nor will he challenge for it at WrestleMania. But it would be nice if at some point in 2026, I'm not getting there, don't worry, or 2027 even, it would be nice if Balor got a title run, 2-3 months, give him the strap, let him be a transitional champion even. But like, he is capable. He wrestles well. He cuts promos. He tells stories. I mean, he has, people talk about Judgment Day and it was so great having the Terror Twins and Dominic was great and Liv is great. Finn Balor has been the tie that has bound them together for this entire run. He's been the consistent piece, and he has been featured as a major player on Monday Night Raw for years now. No, not in the main event, not challenging for the world championship, only occasionally having the mid-card title, kind of being slotted into the tag team division. But he has appeared on, I'd have to do a count. I don't know that I can do it. I'd argue he's appeared on more Raws than most other wrestlers on the brand over the last couple of years because he's trustworthy and capable of doing all these things. This is the type of guy that you elevate. You give him a shot, transitional, couple months, whatever the case might be. You let him kind of sink his teeth into it. And then when he is champion, he might surprise you. And you say, you know what? Maybe we should keep the title on him, or maybe we need to go back to this in 2027. Again, I'm not getting my hopes up. But over the last couple of weeks, he's flashed exactly what he can do. And I just hope people are recognizing it. And you know what?
And he looks like he's 30 years old.
He looks young. Yeah.
Punk or WWE, someone posted a picture of Punk and Finn just like embracing each other and like posing for the camera backstage. You wouldn't know that Punk was 3 years older than him.
Yeah. No, Balor looks like he's 34 or 35 or something like that. And there's something else too. People will talk about, WWE's main event division is really old, which it is. And there's no denying that. And transitioning from AJ Styles and John Cena to Gunther isn't that big of a deal because Gunther's 38 and Balor is, what's Balor, 40, 41, something like that?
44, yeah.
Oh, he's 44. Wow. Okay. Point being, even though their age is still up there to a degree, Balor looks the part. Gunther at 38 is still 6 years younger than Balor, 10 years younger than Cena, right? And beyond that, he's fresh to the audience. Just because he happens to be older in number, he hasn't been around WWE, the main roster, like John Cena and AJ Styles and CM Punk and Randy Orton. So he's fresh. There's young and there's fresh. And if you can't necessarily hit the youth quotient, you can still freshen up the picture. So you get your Braun Breakers and Oba Femis and Trick Williamses, get them in. But it's okay to have a Gunther and a Finn Balor and some of these other guys who are veterans and are either younger or fresher being part of the main event picture. And to that end, I want to kind of separate and go back to Punk really quick before we move on. Not for nothing. Punk is having quite a world championship reign. I don't know that people are recognizing this. He has defended the title 3 times already in 2026. All of them on Raw. A-level matches. I'm sure he's going to drop the strap at WrestleMania, but if he continues on this pace, it might be one of the better world title reigns that WWE has put together in quite some time when you consider our frustrations with some of the other ones. John Cena as a heel obviously didn't work. Cody Rhodes just beating a bunch of people, never losing, having to hold it for an entire year into WrestleMania. Even this latest reign, just beating Drew McIntyre a bunch of times, really frustrating. Now, he's probably going to get Balor at Elimination Chamber in Chicago with the stipulation. I'd prefer the Chamber match be for Punk's title instead. I'm not going to get my hopes up. But if he's able to kind of double up with Balor and then go into WrestleMania and have a big match for the title, I mean, you're talking about 5-6 defenses in a 3-4 month span and potentially all of them being great matches. That really speaks to the quality of work that CM Punk is doing as champion.
I think it's like you said, one, he got the title in kind of he didn't beat the champion for the title. So that made it start off a little bit weird because Seth Rollins got hurt. And so we all felt like, well, they just gave the belt to Punk instead of LA Knight or whatever, just because he's a veteran and a guy who can hold it. And then, like you said, all of his defenses have come on Raw because I don't think we've had a pay-per-view.
They had Survivor Series War Games, and because of injury, they shoved him into that match.
Yeah. So like,
yeah,
he hasn't had the big stage necessarily, like championship defenses. That's the thing that's in our head, I think, making it feel like it's not a big deal. It felt like he's just a temporary champion for something else because Seth got hurt. But yes, quietly, yeah, he is actually doing a very good job with it.
Yeah, like people need to remember all of this is a, quote, plans change situation. Seth Rollins was taking this title into WrestleMania. That was clearly the plan. So all of this is being done, I don't want to say on the fly, but counter to original planning. And now that actually creates a situation, we'll talk about it a little bit later, both when it comes to AJ Styles and CM Punk in the Royal Rumble Ultimate Preview, where I think the men's Royal Rumble winner is as up in the air as it's ever been for this year. And I'm going to be excited to talk about it.
Yeah.
So let's move to the second half of this main event. The Vision opened hour 2 of Raw with all 5 men together and Paul Heyman calling Toronto a second-class city. I mean, tell me where he's telling lies. I'm totally kidding. I have nothing against Toronto outside of the Blue Jays.
I had my bachelor party in Toronto. Terrific city.
Yeah, I would love to visit Toronto. I'm just having fun. Braun Breaker was wearing a hoodie, which he had on his head way too long. He got hoodie hair from it. Heyman actually used the Titantron for the first time in what feels like forever during an in-ring segment to show how Adam Pearce put hands on Breaker first and planted the brass knuckles for Rey Mysterio to use last week. When Pearce entered, Heyman literally suggested fans give him the finger, which I thought was pretty freaking funny. Pearce said that he would not make excuses, though he did apologize while acknowledging he was wrong for putting hands on Breaker first. Pearce then cut Heyman off, saying Breaker's suspension is lifted, and he's in the Royal Rumble. Heyman was ready to shake his hand. He was happy with that. But Pearce decided to go further, seemingly on his own for no reason. And he put the rest of the Vision in the Rumble, plus he gave Austin Theory a rematch with Mysterio. Few different takes coming out of this. It was a rather intriguing segment because it's rare you see an authority figure, especially these days in WWE, completely kowtow to heels the way Pearce did here with his tail fully between his legs. Him unnecessarily going above and beyond to make the Vision happy was kind of intriguing, and commentary did not let us viewers ignore that fact. So the segment itself not only worked to tie up this part of the storyline, it left me wondering whether WWE is going to be doing something closing the loop on this phone call, which has clearly affected Pearce to a significant degree.
I did enjoy Heyman saying, "Ladies and gentlemen, please stand, hold your middle finger and boo Adam Pearce." It could be a drop potentially for the show. It was just said so like plainly out there. I legitimately laughed when I heard it. But yeah, this has gone in a unusual direction to drag this out in a way that I don't really know where it's going toward. And now we've got that phone call thing. And so I don't know, like, it's not the most interesting thing for the Vision to do. It never is, to be feuding with your, on-show boss, but it's fun.
Yeah, it's something different. And you know what? Different at this time of year with a group that lost its leader in Seth Rollins, that might be a good thing. There was something else coming out of this segment I wanted to mention. The Vision badly needs some type of visual identity, like gear aesthetic that ties them together. A t-shirt would be totally fine. A color scheme would work as well. The best factions have something like that. NWO, Degeneration X, Hurt Business, Judgment Day with the purple. Seeing these 4 guys together. Breaker is there in a plain black hoodie with his head down. Logan Paul is in a leather jacket. Bronson Reed is still wearing his tribal thief shirt. And Theory is literally shirtless wearing green tights. They look like 4 random dudes instead of an aligned stable. There is no reason all 4 guys could not have been in black shirts. You could have Theory cut his differently so it's showing his muscles. Logan's could be underneath his jacket. Breaker's could, when he unzips his hoodie, it's right there. And then Bronson Reed's the one just wearing it. And they would still stand out as individuals because they're built differently and they would have different pieces. Again, leather jacket, hoodie, whatever. Am I wrong about this?
No, I've said from the beginning, like ever since Seth left and they were just kind of around Heyman, it has looked like the Don Callis family.
Right.
Like it just looks like a collection of guys. There's not much putting them together. They have their own shirts. It's been almost a year since the Vision was formed because it was after WrestleMania.
Yeah, it's 9 months. It's been 9 months, yeah.
And we still don't have a logo.
No, there's a logo. There's a logo.
Oh, that's true. There is a logo.
There's a bottom third.
Like,
there's a bottom third logo they introduced like a month ago, maybe 6 weeks ago.
Right.
It took them 6 months to get a name, and then it took them 3 more months to get a logo, and they still don't have a Titantron that has the logo on it, and they don't have a T-shirt.
That's what I don't get. They should all just have them for 3 weeks, just all wear the Vision shirts. So we just kind of get that in our head. Right. And then you can tweak it individually.
Yeah. One week, a couple people can wear them and a couple can't. Like you can, but you have to give us a couple weeks of them. Like, look, this is a faction.
Yeah. I also still think, like I just said, Heyman was really funny and I enjoy him. He's great. I still think the visual of all of them just kind of like standing around him still just looks kind of weird.
I agree with that to a degree, but Breaker has kind of moved himself into a leadership position, not just in terms of the kayfabe, but visually. They all came out and then Breaker walked through them and between them and stood in front of them. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's clear they're a group that's supporting him, but I don't think they want to put him too far out in front to make the other guys feel like they're too little by comparison. Right. So they're trying to manage that. And it's a difficult, scale to balance when it comes to Breaker versus the rest, Heyman's role. I just truly believe like a visual identity for them will change and add so much to their aesthetic. People start wearing their shirts. They start buying into it and accepting it. They should have, they don't even have a catchphrase. They should have a catchphrase of some kind. The fact that we're this far into the Vision, 9 months, and yes, it changed a bit through with Rollins, of course, but the fact that we're this far into it and it's still missing some of these elements. I believe their entrance theme is still like a mashup of some kind. It's WWE half-assing presentation. This never used to be a problem. There's going to be at least twice more on this episode where I talk about WWE half-assing stuff like this. And it boggles my mind. It's a multi-billion-dollar company. They have some of the best production in existence in sports or entertainment, especially live. And they can't figure out a visual identity for this group. Really? After 9 months? Like, what are we doing here? All right, let's keep going. Mysterio fought Theory. Standard match that we've seen between them. Ray put Austin into the ring post with a Hurricanrana, then caught him off the barricade with a seated senton before cheesing for the fans. Theory caught Mysterio springing at him with a huge forearm to the face, following with Ataxia for a false finish. As I've said many times, that should be his finishing move. Chaos ensued ringside as Penta and Dragon Lee got Ray's back. Dragon got caught and murked into the barricade. Theory ultimately caught Mysterio, who was distracted, with half a stomp for the win. Vision then destroyed the Luchadors with Penta eating Spear, Super Spear, and Tsunami in the close. Theory is now 4-3 all-time against Mysterio, which is wild to think that he's been booked to win 4 times and that they've wrestled 7 times. All are usually entertaining matches, which is why it keeps happening. But this bout was largely a throwaway. They just put it on the show. Didn't really matter who won. What's important, unfortunately, is that Ray seemed to get injured at the end of this match. When Breaker speared him first after the bell, Braun fell on his knee. They were supposed to go after Ray Moore, pick him up and just kill him. But the referee waved them off and they went back to hurting Penta. It would be devastating if Ray missed another WrestleMania getting injured in the lead up, having just come back. Also important is how commentary hammered Pierce not doing anything about the attack and essentially being neutered following the phone call he received 2 weeks ago. It was one thing to do it in the prior segment. They were all over him, commentary was, in the post-match. Leads me to believe this will be a legitimate story point on the road to WrestleMania.
Yeah, a lot going on there. On the theory point first, once again, like even when he's in the match, it didn't feel like he was highlighted as much. We haven't heard his entrance music since he debuted that entrance several weeks ago.
Yeah.
And he's just fighting the same guy over and over, which was frustrating. And on the Ray side, yeah, I mean, obviously you hope he's okay. If the possibility of getting hurt before Mania 2 years in a row would be just ridiculous. We'll see, I guess, as of recording on that front. But yeah, this was like low stakes type of stuff. It wasn't the biggest thing going on Raw. So like, okay, but not as fresh as some of the other stuff was.
What do you think about the Pierce of it all and like commentary really getting on him for that?
Yeah, that's more interesting than having Theory fight Rey Mysterio again, you know? So like, look, you made the Vision look strong. They beat everybody up. You know, what else is new on a Monday Night Raw? Yeah, I don't really know where this is going exactly.
Yeah, it just felt like an entree into the Pierce thing, like as a reason for them to do it. Also, and I've said this before, get Rey Fenix's ass over to Raw. Just put him with these guys. It makes sense. Rey, I understand that Rey at his age needs to work in order to stay like loose and limber so that when he does have a match, he's not getting hurt in that match. But he's also kind of wrestling a little bit too much. Like this should have been Rey and the other Rey Fenix, that is, Penta and Dragon Lee wrestling together, and Rey's the guy on the sideline. He's their manager. Mm-hmm. He's helping them. He's directing them, whatever the case, contributing. He can obviously still go. Get this guy over on this show, because you have Rey Fenix backstage, like eyeing Trick Williams. And it's like, okay. And like, I know you need bodies on that show. There's people from Raw you can move over. You can do a trade. Get Rey Fenix's ass over on Raw. Let him work with his guys. And I'm not saying it because they're luchadors. I'm saying it because one of them is his brother and another in Dragon Lee is his friend. Like, let them work together, you know?
Like we have criticized before, like you don't need all the luchadors to only ever be doing things with each other. That was a problem for a while. But like you said, he's his literal brother. They're one of the greatest tag teams of all time.
Yeah.
If Penta is not in a major singles feud, have him around, because you're gonna have to explain the Lucha Brothers to WWE fans, and like doing it within a group is a great way to like start that. So I'm very curious why they are keeping them separate. Like surely they know and understand. Are they that into Dragon Lee that
they're that into Penta. They're that into Penta individually. That's why.
Right, but when you've got him in these situations when he's around Rey and Dragon Lee, those are the situations that should just be
right. That's exactly what I'm saying. If you're using him in singles and he's going to win the Intercontinental Championship, great. Do it. Keep them separate. Yeah. It's fine. But if you're not, and he's going to be working in a team or a group, it should be with his brother. Like when Jeff Hardy was clearly the bigger star of the Hardy Boys, they were still together as a tag team for a while. And then they broke up and Jeff was the single star. And then they went back together as a tag team. Jeff didn't start tagging with like Kurt Angle. He's talking with his brother.
And wasn't MVP Matt Hardy a team or something at some point?
Anyway, but Matt needed that. You know, Matt wasn't.
But the longer you don't put Rey Fenix and Penta together, the weirder it is going to be explained why you haven't done that yet. And when they come together and you say we're brothers, you're going to go, why didn't you say that at the beginning?
And your tag team division is badly in need of major teams on Raw. It's dying. The division is dying. You could have New Day, Usos, and Lucha Brothers on the same show. Yeah. Throw MCMG on there because they're not working on SmackDown. Boom, you have four of the greatest tag teams active in the world on the same show potentially.
That was my New Year's resolution, tag team wrestling.
Well, unlike my EO one, which happened immediately in 2025, yours is taking some time. Let's see if they actually get there. There was one more Vision segment they commiserated in their lounge, let's call it, about all being in the Rumble. They were excited. Logan suggested they use their numbers advantage to ensure one of them wins the match, specifically saying it should be, and when he paused, you know, as a heel, you're thinking he's going to say himself, Breaker. And he said Breaker should be the one coming out on top. Reed and Theory were quick to agree, and Breaker was in the background. He accepted it, and Heyman patted him on the shoulder like, see, you got your guys' support. I don't necessarily love when factions do this. I get the concept of stables. It's to rally behind the leader, and it's all for their own betterment. The Rumble concept is literally every man for himself. There are some strong personalities involved here with Logan and Reed, where they really should not be taking that much of a backseat to Breaker. I mean, Reed and Breaker were basically teammates when this thing started. And Braun did just get a title match. I'm not suggesting there was anything wrong with this. Not at all, in fact. It was a pretty enjoyable segment, and it was cool that Logan carried it. It's just not really my preference, and it's also not my preference for a Royal Rumble match where half of it gets ruined because it's one stable throwing other people out, waiting for the big-time babyfaces to show up. So fingers crossed, that's not what we're going to get on Saturday.
Well, I think it's also meant to set up, you say that to then set up it not following through.
Right. And
you do that to have Logan try to throw Breaker out or something like that. Like I don't think they're going to abide by what they said. That never happens.
Well, let's hope. It has happened before, but it's rare. And to your point, it has gone in other directions. Speaking of the Royal Rumble, whether it's Raw, SmackDown, and NXT, or premium live events like the Royal Rumble on Netflix, these days, the Silver King and Vintage, we are all in with NordVPN. It's easy to set up. It's a drastically better viewing experience each night. You get the same high-quality streams, except they become commercial-free shows. All you have to do is sign up at nordvpn.com/gettingover, open the app, quick connect to another country like the United Kingdom, open Netflix, and watch the program. It's going to be crucial for the Royal Rumble, especially for those of you who still have Comcast or YouTube TV and you don't have ESPN Unlimited. That's not going to be ready yet for the Royal Rumble. Here, you can watch the Rumble, not pay for ESPN Unlimited, and you get to watch all the video packages too, because that's what happens during the commercial breaks. Plus, there's additional content as well. NordVPN also allows you to get around online censorship and surveillance and protect your private data when web browsing. Plus, one account, it can be used on 10 different devices. So get the best discount. Go to nordvpn.com/gettingover. Our link will give you 4 extra free months off the 2-year plan. And there's no risk. Nord has a 30-day money-back guarantee. Try it out for the Royal Rumble. And if you don't like it, get your money back. But you will. I promise you that. Improve your WWE viewing. Save money. Browse safer online. And get the best discount for the best VPN. nordvpn.com/gettingover. We love having Nord as the official sponsor of your boys here at Getting Over, continuing into 2026. Okay, a ton of show left. As mentioned, the WWE Royal Rumble Ultimate Preview is indeed coming up, but we have a lot more still to discuss from Raw and SmackDown, and we're going to do it as we always do, breaking down the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Hey, yo. Survey says one more for the good guy.
Say hello to the back.
Don't sing it. Bring it.
We had Rio and Stephanie Vaquer against Judgment Day. Io Sky got huge chance at the bell. Commentary missed a great moment as Liv Morgan literally crawled underneath the ring and out the other side to prevent a hot tag. Raquel Rodriguez took a crazy shotgun dropkick through the ropes. Liv saved Roxanne Perez from over the moonsault, but she ate a double underhook backbreaker coming back. However, Roxy answered with a rake of the eyes, combining with Liv for an assisted code breaker into a Russian leg sweep. Rhea Ripley's hot tag was loud as hell before she put Morgan into Rodriguez with a razor's edge. Then she stopped Pop Rock's cold, flipping Perez over her back and murking her with a lariat before hitting probably the biggest missile dropkick by a woman I have ever seen. Liv came back with a double jump tornado DDT preceding a signature spam across the board from everyone. Stephanie prevented a Tahana bomb and did a step-off splash of Raquel ringside. Rhea then prevented Oblivion, but Roxy tagged in blind and took out her knee, only for Ripley to prevent their tandem move cold, flipping Perez into Riptide, again pinning those ankles all the way back for the win. Vaquer favored her ankle after the bell, continuing to sell the injury and potentially indicating that a title change may indeed be coming. To that end, I might have put Rodriguez over here, but I understand why they didn't do that. As was the case Saturday night, these women can do no wrong together. This was excellent fun. Something that does not get talked about enough is Ripley's improvement in the ring. She's 29 years old. She's still actually developing and learning. What we have seen from her while tagging with Io has been legitimate growth. Her reversal of Pop Rocks in this was excellent. The Razor's Edge getting added to her arsenal, the way she delivers that, so much better and stronger than Damian Priest. It really should just be her move. All 6 of the women here delivered borderline 3.75 stars, B+, 4 stars, A-. I'm going to go with the former. This was good.
Yeah, good. Good match. Enjoyable. Nothing major came out of it in terms of things changing. On the Rhea improvement front, I think part of the reason we haven't talked about it enough is because she hasn't wrestled like that much over the last 6 months because she has gotten hurt twice. So I think we just kind of saw her inconsistently. Then we saw her in a tag team. It makes it harder to kind of focus on how much she is actually improving. But I completely agree. And on the Razor's Edge point, part of it is because she's so much bigger and stronger than everybody she's in the ring with, as opposed to Damian Priest, who has to lift up a lot of other big meaty men in respect to him.
No, you're right. When she's doing it to Kairi Sane and Liv Morgan, they get to fold them in half. But she also is she does it with such a angst and such a emphasis on the final. It's just awesome.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Rodriguez backstage after the match screamed for Pierce, angering Bayley, who was on the phone. She was right. She was acting an ass and screaming, being extremely rude while Bayley's trying to talk to someone. Lyra Valkyria got between them as Raquel continued seeking Stephanie, who attacked her from behind into a road case, only for the women to be separated. Raquel then later interrupted a commercial break soliloquy by Byron Saxton, grabbing the mic away from him to say she's sick of Vicaire ducking her, scared because she's never faced a woman with that level of dominance before. And then she summoned Batista.
Give me what I want. Give me what I want.
Before shoving Byron aside, moments later backstage, Vicaire told Pierce she wanted a fight, not a match, and Pierce made a Philadelphia street fight. I was so frustrated that Raquel's segment happened during a break. I know not everything can be live on TV. It was her most passionate promo on the main roster. Like, it sold the match, it sold the feud, it sold everything, and no one really got to see it. I legitimately thought during Raw, they were going to put this match on the Rumble card, which is really where it belongs, if we're being honest. So that to me is immensely disappointing. Still, this was the best built women's world title feud. It is the best built women's world title feud that WWE has put together since Evolution. There's legitimate hatred and intensity between them. The match was slowly built, smartly utilizing Nikki Bella as a device and somewhat of a catalyst to get to this point. This is not just a title match to be a title match. It's something that they have booked in a way to make me badly want to see it. Raquel's intensity in that one part that did not air live in the US was probably an 8 out of 10, her maximum capacity. She's improved a ton, not just in the ring, but on the mic. This is good.
I couldn't speak to the promo, so yes on that point, but I can't believe that somebody in this Stephanie Vicaire storyline attacked somebody from behind. It only happens every single time. It's actually kind of a pretty funny bit.
At least it was Stephanie that did it this time and not the other way around.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. I think Raquel should win the title. I think the only thing that has kind of slowed this down was Stephanie's ankle or whatever that was for a couple of weeks. But this has been good. Raquel's been doing great. She should win the world championship. And it should have been on the Rumble, but you can still do it elsewhere.
Yeah, you can. And it's going to be on Raw next week. Since Rodriguez was previously announced for the Rumble, I'd have liked it if Pierce made her choose between a spot in the match and the title bout for next week. It seems
that's great. They should do that all the time.
It seems unfair that she has a chance to double up. Also, Pierce used the excuse that Balor was already in the title match as one of the reasons why they were like, well, you already got that shot, plus the Rumble's full. So why is it not the same for Raquel? Like, okay, Raquel, you have a choice. You deserve this match. You want it. Okay, you can get it on Raw, or you can be in the Royal Rumble and you can wait for that opportunity. I don't understand. Yeah. It's unfair to me that in kayfabe, she's getting 2 chances. In terms of next week, considering Vicaire is selling this ankle injury, and considering the street fight stipulation that allows for some shenanigans with Judgment Day, and I have my Women's Royal Rumble winner prediction locked. We'll talk about that in a moment. I do believe Raquel Rodriguez is walking out of Raw as the new champion.
I do too, especially because they're leaning into the ankle stuff.
And I'm pretty excited for it, I got to tell you. Carmelo Hayes again backstage told Ilya Dragunov the United States Open Challenge was his if he wants it. Ilya showed off his black eye, saying he just lost a chance to compete for the WWE Championship. He was all battered and bruised, so it wouldn't make any sense, which is exactly why he is going to take him up on his offer. Miz came through wondering why wrestlers these days are so focused on competition with friends and not just hating their rivals.
Thank you!
He said opportunities shouldn't be handed out, and Melo was stupid for giving Ilya one, but Hayes countered that Dragunov gave him more opportunities than Miz ever did. The segment itself worked, and again, I'm glad Melo Miz is something that remains on the plate. But while I may be a fan of Hayes and Dragunov, a third match between them in 7 weeks felt a bit much, just considering how many people are on the SmackDown roster. The segment was good. I love the fact that they fight and put on good matches. I just wasn't anticipating it. I didn't feel as excited as I was for it, like the first 2 meetings.
Well, no, and I keep thinking like, aren't we done with this? Like they've never, I guess, really had the full on blow off. But that line where Miz says, "What happened to the days when people hated each other?" Like that needs to be a drop for the show and needs to be played for like every single AEW episode. Like
right.
Because he's right.
He's right.
That is what this is about. So yeah, I was like, okay, interesting. I'm surprised we're kind of still doing this, but sure.
So we had the United States Championship Mello defending against Ilya. This was actually game 7 between them in title matches dating back to 2023. They were tied 3-3 entering here. I was a bit late starting SmackDown, so I unfortunately missed both portions of this match during the breaks. Gone forever. Sucks to be me. Hayes landed La Mystica. Dragunov came back with Constantine Special. Mello tried to counter coast to coast with the first 48. Ilya outsmarted him with a catch into a powerbomb. Dragunov was wailing away on Hayes' chest, turning it into hamburger meat before hitting a deadlift superplex off the apron. There was a fun bit on the apron where Ilya said he was having fun and Mello asked what the hell was wrong with him. They chopped the shit out of each other before Hayes hit a twisting cutter to the floor. Ilya landed a powerful Death Valley driver into the corner for a 2.9, only for Miz to push him off the top rope as the referee was checking on Hayes. He subsequently landed first 48 and retained the title. Dragunov sold it by flipping like he took an effing powerbomb, that finisher.
Yeah.
Incredible bump. And you know what? I almost never say this, so bear with me. I'm actually somewhat glad it was a cheap finish. I didn't really want the rematch this quickly. And the crowd, while it was loud in parts, it was not as red hot for them like it had been for their first 2 matches. Plus, it developed the Mello Miz feud as now Hayes doubts what would have happened if not for Miz's interference. Perhaps it's because I saw it coming. I was not as bothered by it as I normally would be. 4 stars, A-. Obviously a minor downgrade due to the finish. Good.
And yeah, all I have my big notes on this was that was an insane sell of the first 48 by Dragunov. So good on him.
Natalya got a promo package shit-talking Maxine Dupree for failing not just Dupree herself, but Natty. She said just because Maxine rolled with a legend doesn't mean she can roll like one. Natty promised when she's done with Dupree, she's coming for it all because Natalya elevates, but Natty decimates. And then after that package ended, we got a pink Natalya graphic that flashed on screen. A dumb, unnecessary, inconsistent addition when it would have instead been the perfect time to showcase her new name and a new logo, considering that's how she ended the promo. It was the entire point. It's these little imperfections that frustrate me endlessly about WWE these days. It's so easy to get it right, and yet they get it wrong. The change from Natalya to Natty, both in name, character, and tone, it was right on. She was not full low-key legend here, black and white gear, grittier look, but she was a WWE polished version of it, which is still better than the Natalya of old. It's impossible to remember every promo she's cut in her career, but damn it if this was not among her best, if not her best. I'm not suggesting that she's suddenly going to get over like Rover at age 43 in year 18 of her career, but it was refreshing. It was well done. The other problem is we didn't get nearly enough storytelling leading up to this due to the way the training vignettes got run after Maxine won the title. It may have been planned in full, but in the end, it was half-assed. Plus, Natty is calling Maxine a failure, but she's the one who cost her the title. She put her foot on the rope, so the logic is hardly perfect. Ultimately, Natty debuted. Natalya is seemingly gone. The promo was good. That's the grade I'm giving it, but it was imperfect, and it was unacceptable for it to be imperfect when it was so easy to make it perfect.
I'm right there with you. Like, I thought it was ultimately good, but just a couple of weird things that didn't need to be said. Like, I wrote this down too. Natty says that Maxine failed her because of you. You put the leg on the rope. Like, it's
right.
It would make sense if Maxine just straight up lost and then Natty, consoles her and then turns on her like you often see. Instead, they had Natty cost her, so that doesn't quite click. And then you're right, she didn't say low-key legend. I was like waiting for it because she delivered a line where I forgot exactly what she said, but she used the word legend in like 2 straight sentences. It was like, you think you're a legend, but you're not a legend or something. And I was waiting for her to drop low-key legend and she just didn't. And that's her gimmick that she's done outside of WWE really, really well. So ultimately good because she is doing that gimmick. I just don't know why they didn't use the name. Does Natty have the trademark to it or something? That part was weird, but ultimately I'm interested in Natalya. So that's good.
I'm okay with Natty, not low-key legend, if that's what it ends up being. I just want the aesthetic to be very similar. Like here she was wearing the shiny black gear with like a shiny logo.
And then the braided hair Yeah,
right,
she had it.
Right. And the braided hair was there. The facial look and the hair and the general vibe was similar. But Low-Key Legend is black and white. It's matte colored gear or matte textured kind of gear. This was shiny Natalia. So it seems like this is like a step between the two, which again, WWE main roster. Like, what are you going to do? At least we're going closer in that direction. But the badass Low-Key Legend that we've seen in AAA and Bloodsport and on the independents, that's what's really interesting about her. So we'll see where they go. Fingers effing crossed that she comes out for her match and she has different music and a graphics package.
Yeah.
And it's not Natalia with the heart music, but with braids in her hair, which is what we've seen sometimes. Like, they really need to get this right. Natty, by the way, she posted an AI image on social media of her as the Low-Key Legend pissing on the grave of WWE superstar Natalia. Except, how do I put this on the show? She was urinating standing up facing forward like a man would, which, yeah, there you go. Becky Lynch backstage said it was a great title retention and everyone loved it last week. She acknowledged Natty's promo, but didn't like that she might be targeting the Intercontinental Championship. Lynch then promised to win the Royal Rumble, leading to Kairi Sane interrupting, saying, "Nuh-uh, Asuka's going to win because Bex is not ready for Asuka." So Becky countered, "Actually, I not only respect Asuka, I'm ready for Asuka. I've been ready for her many times before." So Kairi turns to Asuka to translate what Becky said, but she's translating English into English, which absolutely sent me. And then Asuka yells, "I heard her." And then they did a face-to-face. There was not much to this. I was so entertained by all three of them individually and together. They were each uniquely funny in their own ways. It was so good that I'm making sure it gets a grade. And then Kairi at the end, she starts stroking the Intercontinental title because she's a pirate obsessed with gold. That continues to be an amazing character trait. She should hold that strap before the end of 2026. I already said the word, but this was good. I loved this so much.
Yes, this is like the best you get from Kairi and Asuka. Eccentric, funny,
Right.
Terrific stuff.
It's great when they're serious, but it's also amazing when she's so funny, and she is.
Yes.
So we had Charlexa against Nia Jax and Lash Legend and Julia and Kiana James in a number one contendership for the women's tag team titles on SmackDown. Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair had a babyface backstage segment remembering about their highlights in last year's Royal Rumble. Jax and Legend said they'd work together to win the tag team titles and then win the Rumble, one of them individually. Obviously, neither Julia nor James got a promo because why would SmackDown Creative try to help them get over? The correct rules were used here. Flair actually laid in real chops this week. Then she clumsily countered a double suplex into DDTs. Kiana based a unique Tower of Doom, powerbombing Nia as Charlotte ate a Samoan drop off the ropes. I just thought that was a great spot. Jax pounced James. Legend booted Bliss out of a Sister Abigail attempt. Kiana tagged in and hit Nia with her 401k finisher. Lash caught Alexa flying for a Lash extension finisher. Charlotte broke the fall with a very slow-moving spear. That allowed James to pin Bliss for the relatively shocking victory. Julia later backstage cut an entire promo in Japanese, which Kiana translated, saying Julia will become a triple champion after the Royal Rumble. Okay, not giving Julia and Kiana that pre-match promo, forgiven. Not only because of the victory, but they got the post-match promo. I'm not saying this makes up for their poor booking when they should not even be teammates, but hell, they got a legitimate win, pinning a former champion in a match that included 3 former champions. The work was clunky in parts, but largely solid. Charlotte and Lash are awful working together. They have negative chemistry.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah. They should never wrestle each other for the rest of their careers. Not going to win awards or anything, but yeah, it was good. Better than what we've gotten recently.
Good, unexpected finish that led to a post-match promo, which should be a thing that happens all the time. I was interested. So, yeah, that's a good.
WWE Tag Team Championships. Wyatt Six defending against MFT. Solo Sikoa cut a strong walk and talk promo while holding the lantern, saying it gave him power and confidence to the point that he and Tama Tonga would be challenging and winning these titles. That would parlay him momentum-wise into winning the Royal Rumble and then the WWE Championship. All of his promos outside of the ring in this feud have been good to great. Solo sent Tala Tonga to the back with the lantern before the bell. He returned with it later as Eric Rowan was destroying dudes ringside, leading to a boot to Rowan's face and elimination into the crowd. However, when he grabbed the lantern back, Uncle Howdy put him in the mandible claw. Sikoa was able to thwart that with a Samoan spike. Solo then used the lantern as a weapon into Dexter Loomis's head, with Tama hitting Cutthroat to change the titles, MFT the new champions. This match had a couple nice moments. It was largely slow and plodding in front of an audience that just struggled to care about either side. Solo and Tama, being the challengers, told us they would win, as we surmised when previewing this. And it was definitely the right decision because MFT has been the more compelling of the two factions, even if both have been struggling. Beyond the match being weak, the only real problem I have with the title change is that because Sikoa is holding the lantern, it feels like this feud is going to continue unabated. I gotta go with a bad here, not because the decision was wrong. The match was not that entertaining. The title change felt like a shrug. And while I'm glad it's off the Wyatt 6 and on MFT, I have no design that this is ending anytime soon and that the real tag teams in this division are going to get to work.
It's a good just because it's not on the Wyatts anymore. Like, it may not be good for very much longer.
Okay.
But we got through step one. I cannot believe these guys have held these belts for so long. Like, so long. And it's not on them anymore. I agree with you that it doesn't feel like this is over yet, but maybe the Wyatts interfere and cost them a defense. Like,
that's what it needs to be. The Wyatts cost them the titles. They can have one more blow-off match, and then the titles can move to, I don't know, Fraxium, Motor City Machine Guns, the frickin' Street Profits who are all on this roster and not even being used on a 3-hour show. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a good just for that, though.
Okay.
And we'll see where it goes.
That is your
and I did think the Tama Tonga's finisher, it's the same thing I know that Will Ospreay does, but he does it really, really well. He's got the power behind it.
Yeah, I dislike that finisher when anyone does it. The worst was Karrion Kross. The second worst is Ricochet. Will Ospreay's is fine. It's actually good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Tama Tonga, to be fair, it's on the level of Will Ospreay. Like it's a really well done finisher with a great name. Cutthroat's an incredible name for that finisher.
And it's interesting that like he gets the pin here. He's got the stuff backstage with Nakamura.
Yep.
You do wonder if the MFTs are going to kind of split up or whatever, but it does feel like they're trying some things and they're emphasizing Tama Tonga in a way they haven't in like at least a year.
And that's hugely positive because there's actually a place to go with Tama Tonga. Like Solo Sikoa and Tama are the only guys worth a shit in MFT. And that's not offense to the other three. But Tala Tonga has been a failure since it started. Tonga Loa has always been the comic relief. And JC Mateo, they just completely botched him. The name, what he does, the way he looks, just they didn't get it right. And it's unfortunate. Yep. But Tama Tonga, I'm not saying he has like penta growth, but he similarly can operate as a single, even though he's in a tag team with his brother. They could do something with him on SmackDown in WWE. Whether they ever will, we'll find out. But you're right. He is being heavily focused upon early in 2026, and that's pretty positive. Chelsea Green with Alba Fire backstage came across Jordan Grace, telling her that she's a star in the making and deserves the platform of becoming a Slagent. When Green related that she had a match with Jade Cargill, Grace agreed to join her ringside. My only question coming out of this, why the hell is Chelsea fighting Jade?
I don't know. Like, didn't they do a title versus title a few weeks back?
They fought a while back because they got into something backstage, but this match, there was no reason for it happening again. Like, it just happened. It was flummoxing, to say the least. So we had Cargill against Green, non-title. Chelsea came out dressed like the Mountie. She caught Jade with a tope suicida as Cargill distracted herself with Grace ringside. Jade quickly took over with a pair of fallaway slams. Another Cargill-caused distraction allowed Green to get a second wind, but she nearly got a fall with her foot on the ropes. Jade ultimately powerbombed her, booted Alba off the ropes, and won with Jaded in 3 minutes and 15 seconds. Jordan then grabbed a mic, and she goes, "What was the point of this?"
Thank you!
Yeah, that's what I'm asking, Jordan. She said she was entering the Royal Rumble, or Cargill could just fight her in the moment. Automatic bad. Short match that happened for no reason and therefore had no heat and barely held the crowd's attention. Jordan ironically asking the right question after it was over, yet there not actually being an answer, only added to it. None of the women involved benefited from it by the time it ended. Grace not challenging individually, but rather waiting for the Royal Rumble, despite 3 weeks of interactions, doesn't really hit for me. Is this going to be the WrestleMania match, a feat of strength title match with two women who struggled to cut promos, one of whom is brand new on the brand, and another who has done absolutely nothing as champion? Please, no. The booking of this division in SmackDown is absolutely dreadful. I'd give it an ugly, but there were some parts of it that were like, okay. So that's why I'm going bad.
I'm going to go bad, but Chelsea Green is what kept it from being worse because she continues to be unbelievably entertaining. We will talk about her when we start talking about Unreal on this show, but she got to come out in Canada, do all that. Would have loved for her to get more time. That's keeping it from worse. It's a bad. However, the most important thing from this segment, we got to give a hey now to Jordynne Grace.
Well, yeah, you stole my thunder. I was going to get to that next. We got multiple nominations, and let me be clear, from men and women regarding Jordynne in this segment, because she brought out the big guns, and those were actually her words on social media, by the way.
Gonna look good, but she's got me saying, hey now!
And yes, indeed. That begins another Hey Now championship defense between Grace here and Liv and Roxanne from Raw. This is the fourth defense of this title already for Liv and Roxanne early in 2026. Chris, you stole my thunder. You brought it up. Go ahead. Who do you think wins this Hey Now championship match?
I'm going with Jordynne Grace. I have said since Jordynne Grace came up that her presentation has been terrible. Not her fault. The way that the matches they put her in, the way they had her cut promos, you weren't emphasizing what makes Jordynne Grace special. Which is
okay? Where are you
she
going
looks
with this?
incredible, and so you give her. She wears an outfit backstage that very much emphasizes her strengths, literally, and that became a meme. I saw this thing everywhere.
Yes,
like on social media, is like people are then talking about Jordynne Grace. That is the point of the presentation. She looks incredible. Emphasize that stuff. They did. People noticed. That was good. She looked great. I'm giving it to Jordynne here. That's my vote.
And when the big guns are out, it's certainly the big guns that everyone is thinking about for major guns back in WCW, but also the arms and the stomach. She was presented as, holy shit, this is a beast and someone you need to pay attention to. And when it comes to kind of the definition of Hey Now, it's not just, that person looked great and we want to give them props and respectful props and all that. It's also grabbing attention and saying, oh, wow, like look at this person. And oh, wow, that like was so out there and in my face that it's pulling me in one way or another. So Chris, I completely agree with you. We have the first ever Hey Now championship title change. Jordynne Grace defeating Liv and Roxanne Perez. Handicap match. She still came out on top. We have a new Hey Now champion.
Gonna look good, but she's got me saying, hey now!
It's exactly what LA Knight says there. It's not just, he literally says, looking good,
got me saying,
hey now.
Exactly.
It's taking it to another level is the line. And Jordynne Grace very much did. Congratulations.
I have no anticipation that this is going to be like the 24/7 championship, changing hands constantly. But I got to tell you, 4 defenses for an initial reign when Liv and Roxy didn't actually do that much. They just kind of walked out to the ring. Pretty damn good for them. Congratulations to Jordynne Grace, the second Hey Now champion in the history of the Getting Over Wrestling podcast. Moving on. Javon Evans explained during another commercial break promo that the referee threw out the match because they were concerned about his shoulder and sometimes he's too bouncy for his own good. He wore a Red Sox beanie during a babyface promo in Toronto, which was dumb considering it led fans to start chanting for the Blue Jays and somewhat booing him. Talk about a misfire. How did someone backstage not tell him to remove the beanie? Are they paying attention? Like, holy shit. Evans then entered the Royal Rumble, basically promising he would do something spectacular. So not only did Javon sign with Raw during a commercial break, and then cut a promo the next week during a commercial break, and then get his first match as a full-timer tossed during a commercial break, he entered the Rumble during a commercial break. What the fuck is WWE doing here? You have a 21-year-old, energetic, youthful, burgeoning superstar, and you're hiding him in segments that only the international audience can see, that you're not even bothering to post on social media. If you didn't have time for Javon on the main show, you should have left him in NXT to win the title. This is not just bad, it's dumb.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, I was unaware of some of that until you said it. I don't understand it. We've said this since he came up. It's like, if you're going to do it, you got to do it. Don't bring him up and then make him feel like he's not important, and that's what they're doing.
It's completely nonsensical. I believe they felt like they had to sign him to a contract, and in order to justify that, like a raise, they had to put him on TV on the main roster, pay him the money, let him stay in NXT, win the title, call him after WrestleMania. It makes no sense what they're doing with him. If they don't have a major plan for him at WrestleMania, I am flummoxed by this.
Yeah, I know that's been your theory, and it would explain some things, but I don't know.
It's killing me. Just to tie up, Javon did get a brief televised backstage segment with Styles, saying he hoped to wrestle him on his farewell tour. Styles said, bet. And then he told Evans that means okay. And Javon looked at him like an unk, saying, yeah, bro, I know what it means. That was really funny between them. At least Americans got to see Javon on TV for 30 seconds.
But that also brings up the question of like, well, when? Like, AJ may be done on Saturday.
Right, exactly. Yeah, maybe never. I mean, they already fought on John Cena's last match show. I mean, they were in the tag team match, but
that's true.
Yeah, but they were talking one-on-one, and clearly it's very possible that never happens. New Day, Creed Brothers, Alpha Academy, and Los Americanos on a number one contendership for the World Tag Team Championships. Jey Uso entered before this. I thought he was going to be on commentary, but he just stood there. Not one, not two, but three of the tag teams in this four-way basically exist because of Chad Gable. So just think about that for a second.
Yep.
Creed's hit the Brutus ball ringside early. Otis, who is fully balding to the point that he needs to completely shave his head, he got the hot tag to the fans' delight. Tozawa had a great snap German suplex on Rayo before hitting 3 tope suicidas, ducking Trouble in Paradise, and nailing Kofi Kingston with his own move. New Day did a distraction interference, leading to Grayson Waller taking a ringside super kick from Jay. Otis slammed the Creeds into one another, with Tozawa landing a senton for the win. Again, the fans loved this. Now, it was telegraphed by the backstage segment last week where they told Jay they wanted a tag team title match. It would have been more surprising and fun if they had not done that, but alas, it's filler TV stuff. The competitors here were ridiculous. Otis and Tozawa, okay. The Creeds returning and the loser Americanos both getting a number one contendership opportunity was ridiculous. Where were the War Raiders, by the way? It was nice to see the Creeds back working. With it expected Gable is returning at the Royal Rumble. We should see them back together next Monday. There was nothing inherently wrong with this, but for me, it was bad. WWE, they just need to do better in the division. I'm glad fans loved it, though.
Yeah, like, given the state of the division, like, sure, give them a match. They're technically the Alpha Babes.
Oh, I am going to get to that. Don't you worry.
Yeah, we want to talk about presentation, but look, like, they've been together doing nothing for so long. Like, sure, throw them in, see what the crowd reaction is, see how it goes, and that's that, because they've been just toiling away. Obviously the division needs to be totally overhauled, like we've said, but I'm okay with this. It's something different. It's something. So I'll give it a good.
Oh man, you're in a good mood today. You're being really light on some of these things. So you mentioned it, Alpha Babes. First of all, the match used the shitty rules with only 2 people legal at a time in a 4-way. That's stupid. But let's look at the winning team.
Which they didn't in the triple threat.
Well, triple threat they never do usually, but 4-way when it's tag teams they do it this way, and
it's an example of how it's confusing because it's just inconsistent with more than 2 tag teams.
Anyway. It's stupid too, because when you have a 3-way or a 4-way, especially with tag teams, everyone gets involved and you lose track of who's tagged in anyway. So it's actually easier. All you need to know is who's the legal party for their team. It's much easier to follow that way, in addition to being more exciting. But all right, let's get off that. So the winning team, still actually called Alpha Academy, coming out to Alpha Academy music, even though their moniker was created by their abuser, Gable, from whom they distanced themselves. WWE seemed to give them a new moniker on shirts, Alpha Babes, but it's not their name, and they never got repackaged despite never stopping appearing on television. The same thing with Maxine, adjusted gimmick, similar gear, same music. Natalia is now Natty, but she's still getting the Natalia graphic. This helps no one. You are an entertainment company that has forever been focused on branding. Why are you not getting this right? I could come in one day and fix all of these issues. I'm not saying the music would be great because I can't compose and I need people helping me, but I could get the names right. I could determine who should be branded what and called what and which graphics you should be used for what. How are they an entire production company and they can't figure this out? It is maddening.
It's quality control. Like, it's not getting the little things. And like I said with Jordan Grace, it makes sense because when you get it right, it helps everybody. Look at Kit Wilson.
Kit Wilson, exactly.
Like, what the heck was he? All of a sudden, give him a good, fun entrance, and suddenly he's a TikTok meme everywhere. Like, this stuff is so important.
Yep. 100%. Speaking of Kit Wilson, backstage, he was explaining why he went after Matt Cardona. When the latter interrupted him, Wilson said men like him with chiseled jaws and big muscles believe the world revolves around them and their toxic masculinity. Unfortunately, they did not get this character right in the segment for me. Wilson's gimmick needs to be more fleshed out, and nothing he said here actually made much sense. He could have done a whole rant about his fake tan and dyed hair and caring more about image than substance, but it was kind of bland from him. I like Wilson's repackage. I loved his segment last week. I'm giving this a bad. I'm not saying it's dead in the water. It'll be fine. I'm sure it'll be better next week. I didn't love this, though.
I thought it was fine. Like, it was just okay. Like, I'm not going to give it a bad for that. I'll say a light good. But I think I'm starting to figure out the Kit Wilson character, because him being against toxic masculinity to me didn't quite make sense. But now I'm kind of putting it together. It's the hypocrite of it all is what he is.
The hypocrisy.
Because he talks about the muscles and the jaw. His entrance is him flexing. Like, he's doing the things that he is upset at other men for doing. So I'm like, I'm starting to finally connect exactly what the character is doing. So
I think it's more like messenger type of thing. Like it's the way they're doing it he doesn't like versus what they're actually doing, which is why this segment was so, on the edge for me.
Like, obviously, Kit Wilson doesn't have a tan like Cardona does, but he's got a good jawline and muscle.
He does.
So, like,
he does, yeah.
Complaining about that to Cardona is
well, I wouldn't put his musculature on par with Cardona. I mean, Cardona's,
no, but he's flex. His entrance thing is the flexing.
It is.
So
it is.
If that's what they're going for, I think it is. I think I'm starting to finally catch on to it.
Fair enough. And lastly, Nathan Frazier versus Johnny Gargano. Frazier took headers into the top of the post and barricade early. He came back with a springboard inverted DDT and normal series of signatures, including a connected frog splash and missed Phoenix splash. Frazier tried another springboard. Gargano avoided it or something. Really bad camera cut. And then a cross-legged fisherman's driver followed. Unfortunately, Cole completely wasted a down goes Frazier call on a false finish in a nothing match. Frazier came back with a superplex and twisting neckbreaker, but this time ate shit on a missed Phoenix splash. Axiom was able to regain his mask and put it on Candice LeRae's head, which led to her swinging wildly and accidentally striking her husband. Frazier then won with a roll-up, and Axiom seemed to regain his mask, except Candice stole it out of his hands as he mocked Johnny. That was a nice touch at the end, because I was about to say, Axiom-Gargano feud ending because Frazier beat him via roll-up would not have been satisfying. It was a disappointing finish to a well-wrestled affair. It didn't really get the reaction it deserved from the crowd. It was a low-card storyline. It was entertaining enough, and those should probably be graded a little bit more softly, so I'm giving this a light good. It just sucks that Fraxium is doing this instead of putting on tag team bangers. They dominated 2024. Early in 2025, you're looking at them, they're going to be a crazy popular WWE tag team, and then it just all fizzled out and dissipated. Wyatt 6 and everything else. So let's get them back in the tag team division working. Let's end this storyline this coming week. Like I said.
I'm going to give it a bad just because I'm tired of this, and it's so weird. Like, they're fighting over the mask, but then it's not really even about the mask anymore. And I'm just like, okay, I'm done with this. I'm ready for everybody to move on. And with Ciampa having officially announced, that his contract is up,
right.
Gargano, whatever's next for him, time to figure that out.
I've said it before, I was wrong. I don't like saying that word about myself. I feel like I was wrong. I thought there was an opportunity when Johnny first got called up that they could figure out a way to package him like Brian Danielson.
Yeah.
And make him the big, huge underdog babyface on the back end of a Sami Zayn, a Chad Gable, guys who are different than him because he's undersized and he's the indie background of the whole 9 yards. They haven't been able to do it. They haven't really tried to do that, actually.
Nope.
Now that he's a single, I'd love to see it. I don't think he'll be able to exist in the World Championship picture. But could you make him a mid-card underdog babyface that gets cheered in a major way with a wife who has his back and friends? Yeah, you could. And that's probably the way it needs to go.
He hasn't done anything on the main roster, really. And he's been up for so long.
Yeah.
Like, they had some tag team stuff a little bit.
It's just been start and stop. Yeah. It's been really frustrating. So, look, that wraps up almost everything that happened across Raw and SmackDown this week. The rest of it we will be covering in our 2026 WWE Royal Rumble Ultimate Preview. We are going to go through all 4 matches on the card. We would love for there to be 5, but it is 4, 2 very long Royal Rumble matches. We will not only break down any go-home content that you need to know from Raw and SmackDown this past week, we will give you our predictions for the matches and what we expect for WWE storylines going forward. At the end of this Ultimate Preview, we will provide our pre-show expectation grades, the level to which we believe the Royal Rumble will entertain us Saturday, late afternoon, early evening, by the time it goes off the air. And as I mentioned before, you can vote and share your pre- and post-show grades on Twitter at Getting Overcast. We post the first poll between 2 and 1 hour before the show, and of course the post-show poll immediately after. And don't forget to join us for a WWE Royal Rumble instant analysis podcast Saturday. As soon as the show goes off the air, that is where we will discuss not only the 4 matches and all the happenings on the show, but those grades that we just mentioned. Chris, let's kick this off with AJ Styles versus Gunther, where a match in which Styles will be forced to retire if he loses. Gunther sat down for a taped interview with Michael Cole, saying he had nothing to gain by beating Styles without a stipulation, hence its necessity. Then he talked about old-timers overstaying their welcome, chasing moments that belong to him. He bragged about stealing those moments from Bill Goldberg and John Cena, who he made tap out, saying he's not interested in allowing Styles the opportunity to take that from him too. Then he called Cole an old-timer, asking how long he plans to continue chasing his own moments.
Thank you!
He told Cole he wouldn't take him out because he wants to hear him call Styles' career. Everything about this, Chris, was nails for Gunther until the fake laugh at the end, something we've discussed previously. I'm not going to dwell on it. Nice job by WWE doubling up, on last week's segment with Styles. Gunther did lose some of his momentum after tapping out Cena. He gained much of it back the last 2 weeks heading into the Rumble. That is a positive. He didn't rely on tapped out like a bitch in this segment either. And overall, he showed a lot of strength and conviction, which was badly needed going in. I do have one concern about what's happening here. I'll come back to that in a moment. I'll let you get in with what happened on Raw.
This is what I've been waiting for well over a month. The why. Like, why is Gunther doing this and feeling this way? And they finally said it right there. These old guys are hanging around too long, chasing these moments that belong to me. Boom. That's the elevator pitch. This should have been the pitch 6 months ago. Like when he beat Goldberg and stuff like that. Like we've been waiting for that. What is the mission? What is he trying to do? Now we know what that is. And it's a great one. I love that. So this was really, really good to finally, more than a month after he beat John Cena, establish his character. He should have said this the Monday after he beat Cena.
Week 2, the second week.
Sure, whatever. Week 1, week 2, whatever. This should have been the thing he said right away. So we knew what he was going for and why. And it feels like maybe they just didn't know. I don't know. They just came around to this, whatever the reason. We finally got there. It's a great reason. Nothing is better than a villain who thinks he's in the right and kind of maybe has a point. And Gunther does here. So other than the laugh at the end, which was unnecessary, this was great. Like, I think about, we'll talk about Unreal later in the week, but when Brock Lesnar beat Cena in 2013 with all the suplexes and he gets the pin, he immediately just stands up and stares at the camera and he just looks like a machine and you're like scared of this guy. That's what I want Gunther to be. And for aside from the laugh, this feels like he's focused now, and that's what we needed.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah, the point you make about saying this the week or two after he tapped out Cena, the Raw or two, I should say, after he tapped out Cena, it just makes so much sense because if they had done that, then this setup with Styles wouldn't have been as surprising. It would be the logical next step where he goads this guy into a match and then he, wins the way he wins and you see a sparkle in his eye.
And everybody on the roster is suddenly like, I got to keep an eye. Anybody who's like kind of old is suddenly like, I got to keep my eye out for Gunther. He may be coming for me next. Like it's a great gimmick.
Yeah. For the older guys, especially. And Styles still, despite knowing his motivation, standing up to him the way he did, it fits perfectly in this storyline.
Yeah.
But they needed to do that in the weeks that immediately followed. Not this long after. Now it still works here. It's still great that they did it. I'm glad they got to it. And like I just said, the last 2 weeks did a lot of repairing for the prior 2 to 3 weeks. So kudos to them.
Imagine if Gunther says, I'm out to retire people. And then Styles stands up for Cena to like, I'm going to step up and be this challenger. That makes AJ look so courageous as opposed to him begging Gunther for a match and Gunther coming back with this,
Yep.
That's where, again, if you had planned this out a little bit, it would have just elevated everything.
Now, here's the concern I alluded to. I said I had one concern after this. With it seeming less and less likely that Gunther Cody Rhodes is a possibility at WrestleMania, I think we can pretty much eliminate that. And more likely that it's probably going to be the Brock Lesnar match that I theorized in December we've talked about before. It's probably going to annoy me if Gunther retires Goldberg, Cena, and Styles, only to lose to Lesnar in another career match at WrestleMania, because Lesnar is not going down until SummerSlam in Minneapolis at the earliest. There's no way they're holding that show and retiring Brock at WrestleMania, just unless he's hurt. Doesn't make sense. So they could do a 2-match series, but it would suck if WWE used the juice of Goldberg, Cena, and Styles to put over Lesnar without Gunther getting the win back. So that is my legitimate concern.
We won't book out too far, but you could have Gunther just win both, and the first one is not for the career.
And then they rematch at SummerSlam. So he goes Goldberg, Cena, Styles, technically. Lesnar. Holy shit. That is your monster heel champion. You should be a champion for 2 years after that.
Just because, like, not every match he does has to be to retire a guy, so.
True, but this is what they're doing. And I will tell everyone, because I sent this out on social media as we were taping the show. WWE yesterday, Monday, registered a trademark career killer, which you can only presume is for Gunther.
Like, I get it. The tough part is that Legend Killer is already taken. It's better.
It's a better name. I know.
Randy Orton, the Legend Killer, is just a better way to say it. And I like career killer. One, the killing connotation at this current time is a little tough.
Yeah, not great.
Two, the phrase career killer is usually like some decision is usually self-sabotage.
You do it is. It's self-sabotage. You do something wrong and therefore you kill your own career.
Yeah.
Right.
So like, I don't know if there's a better way to put it. Like legend ender you can't use legend, I guess, because it's too close to Randy Orton's.
Career ender.
Like, yeah. Cause career ending injury is a phrase that people know. So like that probably works.
If you call him though, Gunther, the career killer, I hate when WWE uses the article. This is the time where you actually do need to use the article.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The career killer is what it should be. But
yeah.
All right. Before we get to predicting the match, I was talking about the Styles Nakamura match with a buddy of mine on Saturday. And he pointed out that AJ also got to fight Finn Balor twice over the latter half of 2025. And that got me to thinking, Chris, have we been sitting here completely unaware to the fact that we have been watching Styles' retirement run this whole time? So I did a bit of digging. Okay. Check this out. This is in order, starting with WrestleMania last April. Styles put over Logan Paul. He fought Balor twice. He put over Dominic Mysterio twice. He fought John Cena in the 2-way epic honoring not just their rivalry and WWE legends, they honored TNA legends in that match as well. Then he wins the tag team titles out of nowhere with Dragon Lee and puts on a few bangers. He fights Javon Evans and Leon Slater on Cena's last show. Had matches with New Day and the Usos. And on Saturday, he got the WWE match we always wanted with Nakamura. I figured, man, who is left besides that? Punk one-on-one would be nice. And then boom, we got that Monday night. And if you really, really want to stretch back to 2024, he got in order Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes again, including, baby blue jacket situation, and Narumichi Marufuji in Pro Wrestling Noah, closing out his career in Japan. And this year, I should say 2025 in Japan, he did his send off, my final match here with the crowd. That's a full retirement run. All of it happening under our noses. Chris, Saturday is AJ Styles' retirement match. I truly hope beyond all hope that WWE has worked me, because it does feel slightly rushed. I accept, but don't love the idea of Gunther retiring Styles just 6 weeks after retiring Cena. I loathe the idea of Styles retiring in Saudi Arabia, of all places.
Yep.
But the puzzle pieces fit together perfectly. This is AJ Styles' retirement match.
I was thinking the same during the Punk match, because I was like, well, we did get the Finn match. We got the Cena match. How much is there really for AJ Styles to do?
What
You
is
mentioned
left for him? Yeah.
Yeah. Like who really is there left for him to fight?
I mean, I think it's more about like being world champion, competing in one more Royal Rumble,
Yeah,
wrestling one more time at WrestleMania.
What it is him being presented like the top guy in the company, which has not happened during any of that run for the reasons that we said.
Mm-hmm.
We just said earlier in the show, the Cena thing happened via a tweet shortly before the show. This happened. His announced career on the line happened 2 weeks before the show.
Right.
It has always felt like throughout this run, they don't know when or how to end it, and then just whoops, it's going to end.
Mm-hmm.
Like there hasn't been a build to it. And I understand you got the Cena one going on. You don't want to be pushing 2 different retirement.
And don't forget also, it got delayed about 8 months because of his injury.
Yes.
When he came back, that was supposed to be his retirement run.
Like in some ways, it happening this way is the most WWE AJ Styles way for it to happen, where he always has kind of been the afterthought. Like he was given the world title and carried SmackDown Live for a period of time there.
He did.
But that was also the B show. And
okay, but he debuted at the Royal Rumble and had that amazing moment. His feud with John Cena was legitimately memorable. Every single part of it.
Extremely.
And you said, okay, not top of the card. It's true that he hasn't had the storyline booking, but he had the story with Cody last year. That was a main event level A storyline. He main evented a major show, and he main evented another show with John Cena this year in Australia, doing that match also. So
right, but the thing is, he lost that Cena match. He lost those Cody matches.
He lost
the feud to Cena many years ago. I'm just saying that's why it ultimately, I think, does fit the AJ Styles.
He's not John Cena in WWE. He's not.
He's gonna be a WWE Hall of Famer.
Absolutely.
But when you look back on, think about all the amazing AJ Styles moments. There are not many of them where he won. He lost the Undertaker graveyard match.
Right.
And I think that's the weirdness of the AJ Styles WWE era, which is, like they always liked him, but they never liked him enough for him to be the top guy in the company.
I wouldn't say it's that they didn't like him enough. There were other dudes. There were always other dudes. Seth Rollins, Cody. There's always someone else. Roman Reigns, obviously.
But also all of those homegrown guys for the most part.
Well, yeah, he's not one of the end of the day. You come into this company and you're not one of theirs. It's always a battle. It's always a battle.
He's probably the best guy ever to come out of TNA, and he'll always be associated with that. And I do think that ultimately impacted his placement a little bit.
Well, at least at the time when he came over and Vince McMahon was running the show, Vince ended up really appreciating AJ, which was great. But he gave him his run, and then he said, "That's it. We're going back to Roman Reigns. Like that's our guy, right?" He was a victim of circumstance to a degree, but at the end of the day, he had a really good run in WWE. And I mean, let's lead this into the prediction here. I believe Gunther's going to win, and this is Styles' final match in WWE. I wish it's not the case. I would love for him to win and then figure out a way to do one more, or for him to retire in 6 months. I'd love it, but this does seem to be it.
Yeah, I can't see booking it this far and going this much into it without it happening. Yeah. I'd love a schmaz and it doesn't happen, but then that doesn't help Gunther either. Right. If his whole thing is supposed to be ending careers, he's got to end careers.
Yeah.
I just wish there had been a better build to this, like I said, where Gunther announces he's ending careers, a show or two after he beats Cena. AJ Styles steps up and they have a back and forth for a while leading into this match. This just happened out of the blue. And AJ kind of beat him with the tap that didn't happen. That was kind of goofy. So it's been a very bumpy road.
He even could have said, like, after one of those promos, looked at Styles backstage, "You're next," and like called up Goldberg, right?
Yeah.
And then pointed out to Styles. And then you delay that for 4 or 5 weeks, or ideally 3-4 months. And you get back to it, and he is next. He becomes the next one that Gunther retires. They could have done this better in a lot of ways. It's quite possible that WWE was negotiating with him. Hey, why don't we extend this a few months and do this? And Styles was like, nah, I just want to get this over with. I want to retire. Like, there's myriad reasons and ways in which this could have gone. The question's really going to be, is this legitimately it? Is he going to do a short run in TNA? Might he go against everything that he said and show up in AEW for a short run? I can see TNA. Like you want to retire where you became super popular. There's the WWE relationship. They're not going to be heartbroken by it. I cannot imagine he goes to another company, wrestles 6 months, and then comes back to WWE. Hey, please induct me into your Hall of Fame and let me be a trainer and coach for you guys. Actually, I think he said he wants to be a scout for WWE. But either way, I don't think he's ever going to wrestle there.
I can't see him wrestling in TNA either because TNA is too much of a connection with WWE. If he just it completely nukes his whole retirement.
Well, no, he could say that he retired me from WWE. They didn't say anything about TNA.
But they haven't said that. They've said career on the line.
So they did. They've said that every single time except last night on Raw.
How did they?
He said he goes retirement from WWE. He said in the ring. Now that could have just been a turn of phrase. It could have just been how he said it. It's very possible.
Yeah, because the Wikipedia, not official, but the Wikipedia says if Styles loses, he will be forced to retire from in-ring competition.
Yeah, for sure. And that again, that's what it's been up until last night. And it may have just been he said it that way. It's very possible. But perhaps he said retire from WWE specifically because he's going to do something in TNA. And I could see it and I'd be okay with it. But I can't imagine him going somewhere else, somewhere that's unrelated to WWE. Just
no.
Sense.
If he does anything, it's TNA. That's it. We know.
Yeah, that. I agree. Now, the other thing to talk about when it comes to this potential likely retirement, I wonder if WWE has thought through the concept of retiring a major star and legendary performer in the middle of a Big 3, Big 2 show that has a WWE Championship and a Men's Royal Rumble match, presumably coming afterward. A Styles retirement would almost certainly bring the crowd down to a significant degree. If you follow that with, let's say, Sammy failing to win the WWE Championship, you might siphon every ounce of energy out of that building. Well, out of the bleacher setup in the desert. And I don't know how you recover from that for your main event.
I mean, AJ's going to lose. If AJ loses, though, it will end with him standing in the ring, standing ovation, people cheering, clapping. It's not going to be as dour. And it's also not unprecedented because they retired Kurt Angle in the middle of a show against Baron Corbin.
You're comparing it to the most widely panned retirement, arguably in WWE history. I mean,
I'm comparing it to the one WWE did, yes.
Not that Paul Levesque did.
No, but it's been done.
Sure, but it was terrible.
And Kurt Angle is arguably much bigger star in WWE than AJ was.
He absolutely was a bigger star in WWE. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, no question about that. But again, that wasn't this regime.
No, I know.
So
I'm just saying it's not unprecedented.
It's just a little odd for me. That's all I'm saying. All right, let's move to the WWE Championship match. Drew McIntyre, we now know, is defending against Sami Zayn. McIntyre opened Hour 3 of SmackDown, reiterating that he did not mess up Jacob Fatu because A, he would be bragging about it if he did, and B, he never lies. That's the shit I've been saying.
Thank you!
Drew told Jacob to get it through his thick skull and go find the guy who actually did it. He also reminded Cody Rhodes that he's not getting a rematch unless he earns it through the Rumble. McIntyre then went over his potential challengers in that four-way, saying Trick Williams was a neophyte. He would end Damian Priest's career if he challenged him. Randy Orton was a softer version of his former self. And then he took aim at Sammy, saying he may have Canada behind him, but he's been disappointing his son since the moment he was born. McIntyre promised to do whatever it takes to retain the WWE title, no matter who he faces. And then later in the show, as we discussed on Saturday, Zayn smacked the shit out of McIntyre with no retaliation whatsoever.
What is the 5 fingers say to the face? Slap!
Great promo from Drew. It did completely give away that Sammy would be his challenger at the Rumble, which disappointed me live. I hate how wrestling bookers, all bookers, not just WWE, spoil the winner of a forthcoming #1 contendership by going heavy on storyline development with one of the individuals before the match actually starts. It is so transparent. Anyway, I held out hope that this was just McIntyre planting the seeds for a WrestleMania feud. The way he so easily tore him down here, coupled with Zayn losing in the main event, would have made for a real strong beginning to a 2+ month storyline going into Mania, should he have gone on to win the Royal Rumble as I originally thought. Instead, it's Sammy, and it's the Rumble on a super quick turnaround. Still, despite that, McIntyre was great on Friday.
Yep, he was good. He's been very good in this role. He's good as the heel, taunting the little guy. And yeah, it does open up the door again to who shot JR, who shot Jacob Fatu. We like you've said plenty of times, Drew McIntyre's not lying. There's no reason for him to lie now. He's won the title. There's no reason he could give up the Roos if that was the case. So I would still love the idea that it's Cody and it becomes a heel turn or something. I don't know, but I'm very curious how far that goes. I'm glad they acknowledged it too. I was worried we were just going to kind of move on.
Yeah, they've done a really good job, specifically on SmackDown this week between the Drew segment and the Jacob and Cody backstage confrontation that we talked about on the Saturday Night's Main Event Instant Analysis. They did a real good job tying in all those loose ends that I was begging them to tie in, coming from the title change on SmackDown and, Jacob Fatu's return and all that. So they did every single thing I asked them to do. It just took them a little bit longer than, of course, I would have liked. What was interesting as well is Drew telling Jacob, you need to really go figure out who is the one who attacked you. It kind of moves you away from something that we have thought is possible, a 4-way match for the championship at WrestleMania, because Jacob, in theory, should be figuring out who actually attacked him and fighting that person at WrestleMania. Like that's what would make the most sense for him. And if that does happen, then you're possibly looking at Cody and Drew one-on-one, because Cody, Drew, and Sammy, I don't believe would make as much sense. But I don't really see Cody and Drew being a WrestleMania match when they've already fought, 4 times from 2025 into 26, right?
Yeah, it would be if they hadn't already fought a million times. Like on paper, Cody, Drew, night 1 for sure, maybe a night 2 main event. You could sell me on, but I don't want to see it again.
Right. They can't run that back with just those two at WrestleMania. They could have if they had only fought in once and Drew took the title from him, but instead it's been endless, and we do need to move on from them. One option for this match, as we go through the potential machinations of a finish, if the Men's Royal Rumble is held before the WWE Championship, which almost certainly will not happen, but if it does, then you could have Cody and Jacob eliminate each other from the Rumble, continue brawling backstage, brawl out to the ring, interrupt this match, cost Sammy the opportunity. That creates your 4-way at WrestleMania. That's one way to do it. If this match happens before the Royal Rumble, which is what you would expect, and let's say Sammy loses in theory, you could then have Sammy go on to enter and win the Royal Rumble, even though it's full, according to Adam Pearce.
That's a great point, by the way. Yeah. It is full.
It is
full. If Sammy were to pop in, wait, why does Sammy get a title shot and a Rumble spot on the same show?
Someone would, like Raquel Rodriguez, it kind of is, right? Because she's getting it on Raw.
This is why they never announce it's full.
This is why, right.
It creates logic.
Well, the idea is people have announced and declared, but there's other people who haven't done that, even though they've already been given the opportunity, right?
Well, they've also never explained how one can simply declare, but whatever.
That's true as well. So those are a couple options to schmaz us out of this in one way or another. Look, it's in Saudi Arabia. My original expectation, I'm going to repeat it once on this show because I've done it so many other times, but we usually have more people who listen to this episode than the weekly stuff. I have been saying for, I think 9 months, it's been at least 6, but probably 9, that what I would do with WrestleMania 42 would be put the title on Drew McIntyre, have Sami Zayn win the Royal Rumble in Saudi Arabia, and fight for the championship at WrestleMania. They have a multi-year story arc that you could then tell over the remaining 2 months and conclude it in April, with Sami getting his big moment, and everyone would be happy. The addition of a WrestleMania 43 in Saudi Arabia next year, I believe has completely changed the calculus. I think that's what they were going to do. But now, do you have Sami win the Royal Rumble in Saudi Arabia, or do you have him win the WWE Championship in Saudi Arabia? And it makes so much more sense for it to be the latter, unless you're changing the title here this year. And what's problematic about that for me is Zayn's first promo of 2026. He came out to the ring. He said, I learned something from the John Cena last match, spoke with my son. He told me, Dad, why? I've seen all your titles. Why have you never held that one? And I couldn't explain that to him. I couldn't explain that his dad is appeared to all these people, but he's a loser when it comes to the World Championship. You don't pay that off in 3 weeks or 4 weeks. That's 4 months, ideally. That's a year potentially. Like I'm saying, if they were to change the title at the Royal Rumble, he just said that January 5th or 6th or whatever date it was. Maybe it was December 31st or whatever. You don't pay that off in a month. So therefore, while I understand that they could see Drew as a transitional champion and Sami winning the title could potentially lead to that 4-way because Drew would want a revenge and Cody would want his title back and Jacob would still feel the way he feels. I just cannot imagine that they put the title on McIntyre. The fans loved it. WWE saw the fans loved it, and they use him as a transitional champion. So for all of those reasons, I have McIntyre retaining the title. I would not be surprised if Sammy won, and I was angry. But I just don't believe they're that stupid. McIntyre walks out still WWE champion.
Yeah, I don't know, because I thought, like you, Zayn wins the Rumble here, wins the title at Mania off of Drew.
It's perfect.
I don't understand doing the match here. And like, I don't think you save this for a whole nother year. I like Sami Zayn. I don't know if he's going to be able to do that aw shucks underdog guy for another year if he loses all the time to Drew. And WrestleMania is big enough. It doesn't matter where it is. You rarely have somebody win a WrestleMania because of their background relative to the location.
You shouldn't. You should not, ideally.
No, and it hasn't. It hasn't. It's not like they were waiting to a Seattle WrestleMania to give Bryan Danielson the title. Like, there was whatever the next one was.
No, but I think AEW waited until Seattle to give him the AEW.
Yeah, but that's
title,
AEW, which doesn't advance any. It only advances the story every 6 months.
Dude, I'm aware. Just saying.
Like, so I don't like Sammy has to win it at some point. I think he loses it here, wins it at Mania. But then what was even the point of doing it in Saudi Arabia?
That's the problem. When he could win the Royal Rumble in the same place. And you get Randy Orton in a match against McIntyre to get revenge for Cody and to win the title himself, because he said he wants another championship.
This is why we picked Randy to win the number one.
Right. That's why I remain so confused at this booking. But on a positive tip, we don't know what's going to happen. Like, we're entering this not able to firmly predict what is going to happen and where WWE is going. And that's exciting, because it's great to know what happens. Sometimes predictable things are good, but sometimes predictable things are predictable, and you don't necessarily want that. It's one thing to get, Cody and the Avengers assembling at WrestleMania and winning the championship at WrestleMania 40 from Roman Reigns. It's another thing to have something as immensely predictable as Cody Rhodes just, beating Drew McIntyre at WrestlePalooza because the match got thrown onto the card, 1 week before.
Yeah. So I'm going to pick that Sammy loses, and I'm not ruling out the possibility he wins the Royal Rumble, as crazy as that is.
I'm not ruling it out. It makes the number one contendership in this match. It just, if he was to win the Royal Rumble after this, it was so unnecessary, because that's the only moment you need.
100%.
He doesn't need to win two number one contenderships in as many weeks, basically.
But it's also like how they love, you have the Money in the Bank briefcase holder lose a match and cash in on the same day.
Yeah, but he could have lost in Montreal in that same fashion.
He could have, but is it a bigger down and up?
It is.
He loses the match there, and then, an hour later he's out there for the Rumble.
It's a bigger deal, and they could even do the Becky Lynch booking where it's a replacement situation, because she lost. Yeah. Didn't she lose, I want to say, to Asuka? And then she entered the Royal Rumble because someone got hurt on the ramp, and she ran in, took the spot, and then won the Royal Rumble. So you could do something like that again.
Maybe he'll replace an injured iShow Speed.
Right. Could you imagine Speed comes out and like Breaker spears him on the ramp, and he doesn't even get in the ring, and then someone has to replace him? But then you're Finn Balor, and you're like, WTF, mate? Like, what the hell? I thought this thing was closed. I should be next, All right, so that takes us out of the two singles matches. Let's move to the Royal Rumbles. We'll start with the Women's Royal Rumble, but before we get into both matches individually, a couple weeks ago here on the Getting Over Wrestling podcast, I set a couple of lines, over-unders specifically, in terms of how many names would be pre-announced for each of these matches. I set the line at 14.5, thinking 15 obviously is 50% of both matches. 14.5 for the men, 14.5 for the women. Chris, you went over on both of those. I went over for the men, under for the women. I figured there were going to be a bunch of surprises. As we stand here taping the show on Tuesday, January 27th, still days out from SmackDown and the Royal Rumble, 17 women have already been announced for their match, 14 men. Barely under that second number. By the time SmackDown is over, it'll probably be above the number. And by the way, my 14 count does not include Gunther, who originally announced for the Rumble, but said he would also fight AJ Styles. I don't know if he's actually in the Royal Rumble match. I don't believe he's in the graphic that they've shown. So people are counting him and saying it's 15. I'm not, and I'm saying it's 14 because I don't think he was in the graphic, and I don't think he's wrestling twice in one night, but it is, of course, possible. So
one thing I've learned watching Unreal is just how much they just change things on a whim.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Now, we can't fully evaluate this until the Rumble itself happens. The match is 4 days away. As I said, we still have SmackDown to go. The numbers can increase. But what we can say for sure is obviously the over hit for the women on Friday night, and the over will almost certainly hit for the men. But as of today, as we stand right now, 30 or 31 of 60 entrants have been announced. We'll talk in a second about whether there are any spoilers, but 50%, Chris, has long been my maximum threshold. It's still too many, but if 50% are unspoiled and not announced, that is more than palatable for me.
I agree. I agree. That's enough. I'd love for it to be none, but 50% that's about where we're like, all right, no more than that. There have been some years where we've gotten like 2/3 or more, and it's like, no, please no. So it's where it's at now is mostly fine.
Yeah, the years where it gets to like 22, 23, 24, it's mind-numbing. It's ridiculous. If you're at 17-ish for the women and 15-ish for the men, it's totally acceptable. It gets us pretty much where we need to go heading into the match. So let's start with the Women's Royal Rumble. Already announced. Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, Liv Morgan, Roxanne Perez, Raquel Rodriguez, Bayley, Lyra Valkyria, Asuka, Kairi Sane. Not officially announced, but she said she was going to help Asuka win the Royal Rumble. So she could theoretically be ringside. We've seen that before. I think she ultimately gets in the match. Jordan Grace, Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss, Nia Jax, Lash Legend, Julia, Chelsea Green, and Becky Lynch. So that is 16 or 17 women, depending on Kairi. And of course, that leaves 13 or 14 spots out in the open. Almost certainly going to get a Nikki Bella. Definitely going to get multiple women from NXT. I assume we'll see Sol Ruka, maybe like JC Jane, Tatum Paxley should theoretically get in here. There'll be
anybody from TNA.
Probably a couple. The problem is the TNA roster is so decimated in the Knockouts division right now. I don't even know.
Is Tessa Blanchard still there?
She is, but they're not going to put her in this match. WWE would not do that. So I don't know that we'll get TNA. Maybe someone from AAA, like Flammer or one of those women. I could see that possibly. But there's going to be some surprises here, I believe. And I don't know if those are surprise signings or legends. But as we stand with this number, I don't think they're putting 13 NXT women in this match. So that to me is decently positive where we stand going into the Women's Royal Rumble.
Yes, I like that. Because, the first year they kind of had to fill half of the Rumble with legends just because they didn't have the numbers to fill it out. Now they do. Now they have like people who could come back, like you said, Tiffany Stratton, stuff like that. A lot of... Oh,
yeah. We didn't even mention potential returners, but yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. Like there's a lot of potential returns on top of that, especially with the men, which we'll get to, which is going to be exciting. So I like it.
Yeah. In terms of potential returners for the women, the two big names are Tiffany Stratton, who will definitely be in this match. Like there's no question she will be here. The big one, the big question mark that is lorded over the entirety of the WWE Women's Division for nearly a year, 9 months at this point, is Bianca Belair. She's gone through multiple surgeries on her finger. We've seen her on TV a couple times. They had her show up in Knoxville. They had her show up at an NXT Homecoming show randomly, despite not being able to compete. She was a special guest referee, I want to say, for a Naomi and Jade match as well. But she's been absent.
She was, I think, in Miami with Montez Ford for the national championship game doing some WWE promotion thing.
I never saw either of them there. Wow, interesting.
I missed them, but I saw them on the schedule after the fact.
Oh, interesting. So yeah, she's been around and doing promos for WWE, but she has not returned to the ring. If she's healthy, then I gotta believe she's coming back here. If she does, she becomes a legitimate threat to win, considering Jade is still the WWE Women's Champion.
A favorite, yes. Not my favorite, but like one or two. She will be there at the very end if she's in it.
Just a couple other names bouncing around in my head I should get out there. I mentioned Nikki coming back. AJ Lee is almost certainly returning here as well, setting up the Becky Lynch Intercontinental Championship feud for WrestleMania. That makes too much sense. And in terms of NXT as well, I wanted to say Kendall Gray should really get a shot in this match, just given the way she has developed already on that roster. And Blake Monroe, it just feels like she's so close to getting called up to the main roster. I could see her showing up as well. So if you put those names together, what would I say? Tiffany, Jade, Nikki Bella, AJ Lee, Kendall Gray, I said, and Blake Monroe, that's 6. Plus
What about like a Thea Hale?
Yeah. I mean, there's going to be more from NXT, but I'm saying just those 6 get us from 17 to 23. And there's still 7 more spots for Sol Ruka and any other straggling women who we're not talking about, potential new signings to the company, returns. They got to keep this number small because it allows us to get excited. If you just start announcing every other name and Kiana James gets a spot and that's pre-announced, it leaves us like scratching our head saying, oh, okay, we're just waiting for everyone else to come out. We're waiting for, we're counting off the people that we already know are in the match so that those that are not become surprises to us. And they usually, lately at least, they've backloaded those into like 24 through 30. So, ideally that's not the way you want it to operate. You want surprises littered throughout the entire match. All in all, I'm looking forward to the Women's Royal Rumble. I'm not going to sit here and say it's been better every subsequent year, but it's been more consistent of a match every subsequent year. And I don't know, man, I have a firm pick. I've had the same pick for this match for, maybe a year at this point.
Yeah.
And I think you share it. So why don't you go ahead and tell me who you think is going to win the Women's Royal Rumble?
Liv Morgan. She has been the runner-up twice, I think. She's been right there at the end a couple of times. She is incredibly over, incredibly popular. WWE puts her everywhere. Fans like her, even though she's still the heel. A Royal Rumble win into a face turn feels like such an obvious thing for how good of a job.
Oh, I don't know about a face turn, but okay, sorry, go ahead.
I'll say no, because not off the Rumble, but coming, because she is so incredibly popular. Credit to her for sliding in on the Dom thing in place of Rhea and just honestly elevating it even more, like getting through the injuries and coming back. People want to cheer her. I think by the time we get to Mania, that will have happened. And it starts here with winning the Rumble.
So check this out. Liv Morgan was the runner-up in the 2023 Royal Rumble and 2024 Royal Rumble. She was also the runner-up in the Battle Royal on Raw when the title was vacated and Becky Lynch won it. So she was the last person there. Liv Morgan was also the runner-up at the 2024 Elimination Chamber. And I could be wrong. I thought she was the runner-up at the 2025 Elimination Chamber, which Bianca Belair won to get the triple threat, lead to the triple threat match in part at WrestleMania. In fact, I was Googling it. I was wasting a little time while I was saying that. She was the runner-up at Elimination Chamber.
Yeah.
So she has been the runner-up in consecutive Royal Rumbles, not counting 2025, in 23 and 24, consecutive Elimination Chambers, 24 and 25, and the additional Battle Royal on Raw. She's been a 5-time runner-up in number 1 contendership matches. Liv Morgan is winning the 2026 Royal Rumble. It's perfect. Come Monday in the Philadelphia Street Fight, Raquel wins the title. It sets up Liv and Raquel. She claims maybe Liv does that she's going to challenge Jade, ultimately doesn't. Turns on Raquel. Raquel goes babyface. It fits. That's most likely. They're selling the Stephanie Vaquer ankle injury, gives her an out, allows Stephanie to do something else for the show. You can have Judgment Day inadvertently cost Raquel on the other end. There's another way that this can go. And that can lead to a triple threat at WrestleMania, which would be interesting and exciting. Or Liv and Stephanie at WrestleMania. Morgan wins the title. Rodriguez is jealous and angry. And that becomes a major feud leading into SummerSlam. No matter what direction you go, it's laid out perfectly. It requires Liv winning the Rumble. The other option is Bianca because of Jade. Here's my problem with that. She's won the Royal Rumble. She's won the Elimination Chamber. She's the female John Cena, man. Every time she's in something big, she wins. I want her fighting Jade purely on storyline. I don't want her winning the Royal Rumble. I don't want her winning Elimination Chamber. Let Elimination Chamber either be for a tag team number 1 contendership, a mid-card, put a title on the line in that match. Don't do 2 number 1 contenderships for the main titles, 1 male, 1 female at the show. Don't do it with Elimination Chamber. So fingers crossed. I hope Bianca comes back because I want her healthy. I want her back on the show. Liv Morgan needs to win this Royal Rumble.
Yes, and like, despite all those runner-ups, Liv has won the world title like several times. It's not like she's, always the bridesmaid, never the bride. She's had her moments, but she hasn't had her moments on these stages. She hasn't won a Rumble.
Right.
I don't think she won a title at Mania. She won it at SummerSlam when she beat Rhea, but this is her time now. She has put in so much work over the years. She is ready to be established as one of the very top people. And I don't want Bianca or Rhea winning a Rumble
Oh my God, could you
again
imagine? Oh my God.
until it's to fight each other in one of the main events.
That is 100% correct. Whether it's a Rumble or a Chamber, one of them needs to be champion going into the show. The other wins a number one contendership, and they fight. And we get the match that we want between both of them. We thought it was happening this year at WrestleMania. Dude, it's going to be monkey's paw shit if it happens at a WrestleMania and they're head to toe covered.
Oh, crap.
And
I just forgot.
and we finally get their match, and it's next year. I firmly believe that the plan was for Bianca, obviously, to feud with Jade over on SmackDown, end that with Naomi, the three-way feud, and Rhea eventually would have been champion going into the show this year because they set it up. They set it up last year going into WrestleMania.
Yeah.
They set it up coming out of WrestleMania 41. Rhea and Bianca. And due to injury and a lot of other things, they didn't get to it. I have a bad feeling it's going to happen next year, but we need to get there no matter what. And the way to get there, you're right, is one of them is champion, one of them is number one contender. Neither of them should win this match.
Rhea Bianca is Rock Austin.
It's the match.
2001. Now that took, I think, Austin winning the Rock winning the belt at No Way Out in between the Rumble and Mania, but it's the same thing. You're going to establish your two biggest people. One of them's going to win the Rumble to get there.
Yep.
Off you go. That's the future, though. Not in Saudi Arabia.
Rhea and Io are insanely over as a tag team. You can feature a ton of women on the card by doing a multi-team match on that show, TLC, or another ladder match, another stipulation, whatever you want to do. You don't need to account for them. This should be an opportunity to elevate other women in your company. Liv and Raquel and Stephanie, some combination of those three, or a triple threat between all of them. That makes the most sense. On the other side, Jade, we're really annoyed with the booking for the SmackDown women's division, but you have Jade, you have Jordan, maybe a returning Bianca. There's things that you can do. I already kind of mentioned it. Tiffany Stratton coming back. I really don't want another match between her and Bianca. You can move someone over from Raw to get that opportunity. There's things you can do with that side. I'm not concerned about it. Liv needs to win this Royal Rumble. To your point, she should be in the upper echelon of women in this company, not just because she's worked hard, but we have seen the results of that work. She has improved in ring, on mic, as a character. She is a top woman in this company. This is the opportunity to legitimately crown her. Put her over at WrestleMania. You got to do it.
Yep.
And she's been injured so many times too. So she's kept having this delayed and delayed and delayed. Liv Morgan, universal prediction to win the Women's Royal Rumble. Let's move over to the men. As mentioned, 14 names have been announced. Cody Rhodes, Jey Uso, Rey Mysterio, Dragon Lee Penta, Jacob Fatu, Solo Sikoa, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, Logan Paul, Austin Theory, Javon Evans, and the last two already announced. I want to talk about both of them separately. Obafemi and Roman Reigns. Reigns declared, I use that term loosely, on SmackDown. This came via a produced video package that did not even have a voiceover. WWE, you did not think to call this guy up and be like, yo, can you send in an audio file? Or can you tape a video message like The Rock used to do back in the day when he was in Hollywood? Why are they so lazy? Would that have been so hard? It's always minimum effort when it comes to Reigns returning to screen. I don't get it. They should have just put up a graphic or showed his text to Paul Levesque confirming, yeah, I'll be in the match. It could have been an email. I didn't mind him pre-announcing. You want to sell the show to viewers. He's a top star. You want them to know Roman Reigns is going to be there and be in the match. It's totally fine. So it wasn't the decision that I have a problem with, Chris. It's the methodology. To me, he's not a surprise ruined, but it was an opportunity missed to do something more than just literally show a video package.
Yes, completely agree on that front. I still say, like, how many people are going to watch the Rumble now that weren't going to before because you announced Roman? Like, I've always said this about like Avengers movies. Like, I'd love for them to be one where there's no trailers. Just tell us when the movie's coming out and don't say a word. People are going to go watch it. I that said, I understand business is business. I'm sure they have the numbers that say it helps. And I imagine we're going to get enough big notable returns anyway that
For sure.
they can't all be big surprises because you can't have every surprise kind of nuke the previous surprise.
100%.
So
exactly.
So I get it. But yes, would have loved to see your face, Roman. It's a beautiful face.
I would assume that because this is not in the United States, they're saying, hey, all these people who would have bought tickets and gone and all this, we just need to make sure you're watching. And announcing Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso and Penta are going to be in the match. Those are some of the favorites in the entire company.
And at a earlier time of the day too.
Also true. Like, yeah, this is appointment television because your guy's going to be in here. You don't, you're not trying to surprise you with Roman Reigns. Now, Femi, I'm not sure an NXT call-up really counts as a surprise, especially because they've been teasing it in vignettes for a month before the last one on Monday night flashed a graphic of the Royal Rumble. So for me, Chris, and I don't know if you agree or disagree, I'm at 0 ruined surprises. There's no Cody or Charlotte coming back from injury. No, this person re-signing with the company. So far, we have 14 men announced for this match, and for the women, women 17, and they have not ruined any return surprises or signings. Do you agree with that?
Yeah. Yes, which has me terrified for Friday, but yes.
It does worry me for Friday as well. Our over-under was 2.5 spoiled entrants. You went over, I went under. So it looks like you're going to win the over-unders for the, spoiled
total numbers.
Entrants, the totals.
Yeah.
But in terms of surprises, I think I might be on the right side of this. And you know what? That's almost more important in terms of when someone's showing up that you don't expect. That's what makes a Royal Rumble. Like, that's what I want to see. So that's pretty cool. There's one other thing I wanted to mention before we get into breaking this down further, talking about other entrants that might be in there, etc. I want to circle back to the segment with Pierce and the Vision from Monday night, entering all of them into the match when Heyman was only expecting Breakker to get the opportunity. I'm hoping and assuming he's doing it in a way to potentially outsmart Heyman. For example, Lesnar enters at 8, then Theory, Logan, Reed eliminated one by one. Breakker comes in, actually hangs on. Then we get the next entrant. Either that or he loads them together and lets them wreck shop, potentially playing into the phone call storyline. But I don't see them being dispersed in the match. I don't think we're getting 4, 17, 21, and 28. I think you're going to see them grouped together in one way or another. What about you?
I think kind of putting the story of the Rumble around them would be very smart. Which they've done sometimes. There was the year Brock Lesnar was the story of the Rumble and Drew won. So you can do a couple of things there. Did CM Punk have that once with the Straight Edge Society?
I don't remember.
Back in the day.
I don't recall.
There was a period where he opened the Rumble and just cut promos every time somebody came out and they eliminated him or something like that. It might have been 2011 or something like that. But I think it makes sense to have them look like the big bads. Mm-hmm. And eventually you get an Oba Femi comes out and they can't eliminate him 4-on-1, and then another person comes out and then the numbers are evened up and off you go. I think that would make a lot of sense.
Getting back to the entrance, as mentioned, there are 14 names announced. We don't know about Gunther and whether he's going to show up. There was also a mention, I think by Liv Morgan at some point, that she was getting or wanted to get Dominic Mysterio into the Royal Rumble. So maybe you can throw him in there. And then there's 3 names that we are almost positive are going to be making returns in this match. LA Knight, Chad Gable, Brock Lesnar. So if we add those 4 to the number we already have, that's 18. I'm going to assume, tell me if I'm wrong, Mr. Iguana is going to be in this match.
Yeah.
So that's 19, right? That leaves 11 spots. I'm going to read you the notable names who are not in this match that might fill these original spots, or these remaining, spots. El Grande Americano, I feel like that's happening. Aleister Black, probably not. He got written off. Rusev, probably. Carmelo Hayes should. Ilya Dragunov should. Damian Priest probably will. Matt Cardona just returned, probably will. The Miz, okay, maybe not. Randy Orton, yes. Rey Fenix absolutely should. I don't know that he will.
Nah.
You think he'll miss the Royal Rumble?
He's barely present.
Okay, let's say no.
Roster.
Santos Escobar, I'm going to say no, even though, again, he should. Omos, I'm also going to say no, even though he should. So that's 7 more. That gets us to 25. And it could be some of those other names I mentioned could be in the match.
What about
go ahead.
What about in the Joe Hendry spot? You get a Kit Wilson.
Oh God, Kit Wilson's going to be in this match. Kit Wilson, Joe Hendry also, I will say. So that's 2 more. That gets us to 27. That leaves 3 spots for some of the names I mentioned, possibly a Aleister Black or Miz or whatever. There's obviously a lot of talk coming into this Royal Rumble about Chris Jericho re-signing with WWE. I believe his name is still featured on the AEW roster page. People thought his contract expired, at the beginning of the year. That appears not to be the case. If it's January 31st, that's the date of this show. For me, when Chris Jericho returns to WWE, historically, it's been on TV. It's always been on Raw, right? In an exciting segment. Yeah. So I kind of like the idea of him showing up the Raw after the Royal Rumble, but he is a name that you need to at least keep in your mind for this. There's also Powerhouse Hobbs coming out of AEW. His contract has expired. He is gone from that company.
That doesn't work as a Rumble entrance.
I agree. Because I actually agree
people in WWE won't know him. It's not like an AJ Styles, who's the biggest star, type of thing.
I agree. And since he's not in the universe at all, you can't even do the Brock Lesnar, Keith Lee, whoa, big boy type of thing, right? Like you can do it, but no one's going to know who he is until he actually gets in the ring. And his name in WWE is going to be Royce Keys, by the way, which I think is a great name. I could see him starting in NXT as well, but main roster does seem to be more likely for him given his age and his size and everything like that. But those are the other names. That's everyone else who exists. I think we probably got, not counting legends returning and surprises and anything like that, I think we probably got a good 25, 26 of the 30 names based on that breakdown. So anyone that you're thinking I'm missing, or is that pretty comprehensive, you believe?
No, I think that is. I think I and most fans are going to be looking forward to Jericho and waiting for that.
And it may not happen.
And people are going to be annoyed if it doesn't.
I agree it's possible. And the other name who is possible, because look, shoulder injuries don't necessarily have crazy long timelines. There are some that do, and there's some that don't. Seth Rollins returning is possible. And Rollins winning this Royal Rumble and then immediately challenging CM Punk at WrestleMania. That's not just a WrestleMania match, Chris. That's a night 2 main event.
Yes. Yeah.
It is.
Has Rollins won a Rumble? That year he beat Brock, did he win the Rumble?
He must have. How else would he have gotten that match? Yeah, that was 2019 ahead of WrestleMania 35, where Seth and Becky bookended WrestleMania as Royal Rumble winners because they both won on the same show. So yeah, and then he beat Lesnar in like less than 3 minutes in that opener. So yeah, Rollins did win that Royal Rumble. I think he's game to win this one legit if he is cleared. I'm going to guess he's not cleared already for this.
Yeah. I mean, I just finished Unreal, so in the back of my mind, I'm like, well, anything's possible with Seth.
I mean, this is a real injury, so they're not kayfabing us. It's just more...
is it? Are we sure? Are we sure this one is?
It's just... Well, they vacated the title. It's just more, was it short-term or is it long-term? Like, I think there's a legit chance he comes back in March and they build something with Braun Breaker for WrestleMania, or comes back
he's got to, well, that's the thing. He's got to come back and go for them before Punk.
Well, no, because he still hates Punk no matter what.
He does, but the guys who in kayfabe knocked him
out
were the Vision.
Well, you can do both simultaneously. Like we've talked about Austin Theory being a plant for the Vision. So Rollins comes back, wins the Rumble. Theory maybe turns on like Breaker in that match, tosses him out. So Rollins comes in next, he wins. Then you have Rollins and Theory together. Like Theory helps Rollins win the Royal Rumble. They add one more person, and now you have Rollins has a group, Breaker has a group, and Punk is the champion. You could maybe even do a 3-way for the title at WrestleMania. There's a lot of ways that could work together. Man, I'm kind of juiced myself up to getting Rollins to win this Royal Rumble, but I'm not going to predict that because
that's why his injury was so frustrating.
I'm not going to
watching. Yeah.
Well, I thought Punk was going to win this Royal Rumble originally. I thought we were going to get Rollins Punk, and that was it. Like it was set.
We probably were.
Yeah, probably were. So if they can get back to that, they will. The question is, how do you do it? You can have Breaker win this match. You could have Rollins return and win if he is healthy, but I'm just not going to predict that because I don't think that's going to be the case. I can't imagine them having Roman Reigns win another Rumble. It would be ridiculous. Cody, I cannot imagine him winning another. Jey Uso, definitely not. As much as we would love it, Penta's not going to win. Jacob Fatu, probably not winning the Royal Rumble as well. So that's eliminating a lot of names. It brings me down to Breaker. Obafemi making his debut and just going all the way and just shocking us. Obafemi, Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania would be sick. LA Knight, I know, people don't want to hear that and get excited, but LA Knight making his return and winning that match and fighting Drew McIntyre, that's real.
Don't get my hopes up.
I'm just saying that's real. That's like my narrow list, Chris. Who do you have winning this match?
None of my picks are going to come with much confidence, but considering what I already laid out, I'm going to go Sami Zayn.
Loses the title match and comes back and win. Like, I really should be predicting that because this is what I've been saying on the show for 9 freaking months. Like, I really should stick by it. But the fact that he has a match on the show, I can't do that. I mean, that's not something I can predict. Yes. I would also normally go with Braun Breaker, but I don't think you give away the whole division is in the match and they're all going to help him and then he just wins. Like, it seems kind of cheap. So
maybe, and maybe they do, and maybe he eliminates them in the Rumble.
Maybe he does. This to me is the most unpredictable Royal Rumble in a long ass time because, again, I'll repeat once more. I had Sami locked in as winning this. The booking for 9 months, the locking in on winning the Royal Rumble for 6 months. I was sure that this is the way this was going to go. So I'm going to go out of left field. Pure guess for the shock and awe of it all. I have Obafemi winning the Royal Rumble in his debut. So I don't know who else to pick. I don't know who else to pick.
Yeah, we talked about, like, should he be the one to retire John Cena? And our talk was, is that too much to put on a guy too fast?
He should be the one to retire Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam.
Well, yes, but now with the career killer, can't be.
Well, no, he still can be. I mean, it's still possible.
I mean, he can be, but it'd be dumb if someone else is out here ending careers.
I suppose.
But no, I like it. Like Obafemi, I mentioned this before. Like, he's a meme on TikTok. His entrance, and I say this not to sound cool with the kids. I see it a lot, and it's funny. And he's awesome. He's a star. We got to pick somebody here, and we don't feel overly confident in anybody we're picking. So I'm gonna go with Sami. You're gonna go.
Dude, if I'm predicting Obafemi and he wins, that's an all-time prediction. I'm just saying, like
it is, yeah.
That's a Barry Horowitz. I'm gonna crow about it on the instant analysis, and I hope you're right. I hope you're right. I hope you win. I hope it's Sami because that was the booking that I've wanted this whole time, but they really threw a wrench in it with having him win that number 1 contendership. We don't need to keep repeating that, but.
I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's LA Knight, but
man, it'd be cool.
I just hope he gets he'll be one of the early pots.
And by the way, dude, you could legit build LA Knight and Drew McIntyre. It's not a main event of either night, but that's a great championship match for WrestleMania.
If LA Knight won, we would be saying a week before the WrestleMania, man, this should be a main event, and it's probably not going to be. But they've done such
just
a good
because
job
of the build.
Turning it into
You're saying because of how good the build would be.
They will do a great job building.
They would kick the shit out of that. Both great promos, 2 of the best in the company. Tons of vitriol and hatred from them.
They get my hopes up. All right, we've been going too long. I love the Rumble. The Rumble's the best. It's the best. The Rumble is my favorite thing in pro wrestling every year. There is nothing like it. The unexpectedness, the surprises, especially this year. Like, I'm really excited about it. I'm annoyed where it's taking place, but this is going to be, I hope this is fun. I hope it's better than last year's women's one or the one a couple years ago that Shane McMahon booked. It's the most enjoyable wrestling thing.
And that's what frustrates me so much because I had been waiting my entire life to go to a Royal Rumble. It just was never near me or made possible. And I went 2 years ago. And it was like the worst Royal Rumble. I was so disappointed. I went with my friend. He ended up going back again last year with his twin brother in Indianapolis. And you all remember Royal Rumble last year kicked ass. It was one of, I don't want to say the best ever, but it was one of the best shows of the year for WWE, one of the best PLEs of 2025. So fingers crossed that this show delivers despite its location in Saudi Arabia. I am excited that it's going to be a 2 p.m. start. It's a long show. Those matches both individually are long, and we get really exhausted coming out of it. So we should be fully attentive and energized with cold beverages in our hand for the WWE Royal Rumble Instant Analysis Podcast, which will be published Saturday shortly after that show goes off the air. But before we can even talk about analysis, Chris, we need to wrap up this show with our pre-show expectation grades for the Royal Rumble. We have gone long, so let's not go too deep into it. What is your pre-show expectation grade for the 2026 WWE Royal Rumble, the first premium live event of the year?
I'm going to go 94.
Whoa.
Low A.
Big number.
Well, I feel like I always do this for the Rumble because, like I just said, I get so excited for it. And not only that, you have 2 Rumbles, which are good. The other match is a undisputed championship match with not a hometown guy, but a guy with the home crowd will be behind. And the other is potentially AJ Styles' last match.
Yep.
So like there are so many stakes here. So I debated going even higher, but I'll say 94 low A.
I agree. This show is absolutely loaded. And you know what? As you just laid it out, it's going to increase my grade. No, you know what? It's not. I'm going to stick with where I was coming in because that's not fair. My expectation for it is a 92 out of 100 and A minus. It is so difficult for me to give a non-WrestleMania level show an A expectation grade just because you never know how the Royal Rumbles are going to pan out. AJ and Gunther should be phenomenal, pun intended. The WWE Championship match, I just have a feeling is going to be a schmoz. So then we're talking about not a 3-match card, but 3 real finishes. I hope there's a ton of surprises, and I hope this thing absolutely delivers. I hope that late Saturday, I'm giving it an A, and I'm saying it exceeded my expectations, but I'm coming in at a 92. 94, I think, is high, but totally fair because, as you noted, the card is loaded, and they could absolutely exceed that number as well. So let's just hope that this is a great start to 2026 for WWE from a PLE standpoint, and as I already mentioned, we will be back Saturday with your WWE Royal Rumble Instant Analysis podcast. You do not want to miss that. Between now and then, the next Getting Over episode will be Thursday. Not only will the Silver King talk NXT and AEW, but Vintage and the Silver King will do a full reaction to season 2 of WWE Unreal. I know Vintage has completed the show. I am still 4 episodes away, so there's a lot of watching for me over the next 48 hours, but we'll talk WWE Unreal, NXT, AEW on Thursday, and then the Royal Rumble, of course, on Saturday. On the way out of the show, don't forget,
It's all about Defy.
so head over to Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Leave a 5-star rating on Apple. Take a little extra time. Leave a 5-star written review. If you do, we will read it live right here on the show. Follow us on social media at Getting Overcast. On Twitter and Blue Sky, you get episode drops, news, analysis, highlights. You can send in questions and comments, and you can vote in the pre- and post-show polls. On YouTube, when you subscribe over there, you can listen to our audio, and you can watch full-length video interviews with WWE talent and wrestlers from around the world. On YouTube and social media at Getting Overcast. Lastly, please remember,
I happen to love the number 5.
and I hope you do as well, $5 a month, $50 for the entire year. You can become an official Getting Overhead. Just visit buymeacoffee.com/gettingover. Sign up. You'll get bonus audio, the fastest 5 minutes in professional wrestling, instant reactions to every major show, and exclusive news analysis posts as well. buymeacoffee.com/gettingover. We need to get the hell out of here. One of the longest episodes in the history of the Getting Over Wrestling podcast. We'll be back Thursday and Saturday for Vintage Chris Manini. This is the Silver King, Adam Silverstein, signing off and leaving you with just 3 final words. Bye for now.